whiskey right on your left. Right
Right on my left. Oh,
right.
right here.
Good tune. I like it.
Hot thing.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called. Hot thing.
At the end of this song, they tell you where you can go get a really good chicken sandwich.
Oh
Or we
man.
can just ask Gary. He'll tell us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey,
I've heard there's a certain gay bar down in Dallas that serves a really
Good chicken
good
sandwich.
chicken
That's what we've been
sandwich.
told.
Yeah, we've all heard that too.
And I like gay people,
Cheer-
so
You do drive a Tesla.
You do.
yeah.
Cheers to the gay community for their fantastic chicken sandwiches.
Yes.
Oh, and their support.
And
I think we have one gay follower.
Do we?
Do we?
Yeah, making our 23rd.
Please tell us who that
Follower.
is.
I can't say.
Oh.
We aim to be a very diverse show.
Yeah. Yeah. It was evidenced by our comments on TikTok this last week.
Well, yeah, and evident
Oh.
by the fact that we have a couple of Californians on the show
Oh.
tonight.
Oh, man.
He just
It's like
dropped
dropping them
it
in the
hot.
grease.
Already
Yeah.
started.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Hey,
we
great time tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
It's
It's been awesome.
Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate y'all.
No, but seriously, with us tonight.
Yeah, why don't you tell us who's
Yeah,
here,
go
Savage?
for it.
Take
Yeah.
the,
So we
take the
have
lead.
Chris Kelly,
Yeah.
and then we have
That sounds like an outlaw name. It really does. It's a badass
Chris
name.
Kind of
Kelly.
does.
What if I tell you it's Christopher Patrick Kelly?
Ooh, not
Now
so
you
much
sound like
now.
an Irish.
Why are you
outlaw.
saying it like that?
Now you sound like a serial killer.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then we also have Kyle.
Just Kyle?
Kyle.
Just Kyle. No.
Just Cal?
Hoover.
Kyle, by God, Hoover.
Also sounds like a cool Western
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
What's your
if
middle
we get
name?
If we
So
get
you-
into movie production, we'll keep y'all in mind.
So you might have seen these guys around town.
Yep. They
You've
are.
been up to the square.
Mhm.
They're the owners. Is that right to say owners
Mm-hmm.
of?
Yep.
If you
Yeah.
haven't seen
Yeah.
them, you've damn sure smelled them around town.
Yeah,
That's fair.
We're going to tell you
Glorious.
why. And it's a good
That's fair.
smell. We condone
Yes.
that odor.
It is.
We condone it.
So
Consider it an aroma pleasing unto the Lord.
exactly
Absolutely,
right.
Let's be
yeah.
honest.
Wow,
And it-
we're
and it-
getting deep now.
Why
And
would
it
he?
goes
right?
great with the other two smells of the square. Do you know what those two smells are of the square besides yours?
Wait, which way is the wind blowing?
Yeah, I'm
That's
afraid
exactly right.
So it's usually Trinity
Smells-
Street
yeah.
Coffee Brewing or
Well, being roasted,
roasted, yes,
and
not
then
brewing.
sweetie
yep.
pies, yeah.
Well, Sweetie Pies, yes. I was also going to say Roosters. You can usually smell some of their cookings in the back too. But you
Smells
are
good.
right on Sweetie Pies, yeah.
So you have the
Ezra
odors
Zion
of,
Cigars, people.
yes,
That's-
Ezra Zion.
I got
Not
the
only
bar.
just a cigar lounge, but a cigar maker.
Bar.
Is that
No, it's Cigar Bar.
yeah, cigar bar?
is the technical.
But is
term.
that the right terminology for somebody who makes cigars? Are you a cigar maker?
Yeah,
Yeah.
manufacturing.
There you go.
Yep,
Okay,
yeah.
right on.
Nice.
So
I
yeah,
mean, I just thought there'd be some other term.
and at any given moment, the square
Yeah.
could smell like coffee, cigar, tobacco, and
Steak.
beef steak.
Mm.
That's where
I mean,
want
that's
to. That's where I want to
Decatur,
be.
right?
That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Sounds like America.
it does. It's
That's right.
That's a smell of freedom.
Smell of God's goodness.
Yes.
Doc, don't touch the fucking camera.
Yep.
Whatever you do.
It's perfect now.
Okay, I know. I'm
It
looking
is.
at them. It looks great.
Yeah.
Can
thank
you hand me the bottle so I can talk about the bottle that you fingered
Boom.
away from
Oh,
me?
yes.
Oh, really? You're going to drop them into the grease this early?
Yeah, right
we're
now.
going right
Right
off the
now.
bat
And we
with
started
them.
off with this
Jeez,
really
damn.
nice 128 proof Woodford Reserve special release.
Very tasty.
That's all we're going to say about Woodford Reserve because they've been
Yep.
pussies and haven't come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Been invited.
But they're good whiskey.
They backed out. On
They're good
us.
whiskey.
It was good.
It was good.
I feel
It
very
was.
That
warm.
was
Fantastic.
Very
Yes.
warm.
And the
I took a
core-
couple sips and I had to go back and look at the bottle. I was like, what?
Woo!
Whoa, okay, that explains it, yeah.
You know,
This
it
is
is.
not
It's almost
92.
winter, so you got to worry about that core temperature staying
Oh, yeah.
up.
Mhm.
It's good.
That's right. Awesome.
Ah.
So let's get into Ezra Zion. So where did that name come from? That's not a. that's
Wow,
a
you
very
just
unique-
jump right into it,
off
huh?
into it. Yeah.
Jump right
Just
in.
right into the deep end.
Deep in. Well, same
He-
way with the whiskey. That's where
I
we
mean,
go.
we can save it for
Oh, and I'll
last.
tell you,
Yeah.
Heath, Savage Bro asked the easy questions.
Easy questions.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
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 The layups.
Like where did the name come from? That's pretty
Yeah.
easy.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Well,
Chris.
when we first started thinking about coming into the industry and everything else, obviously you have to incorporate, right? You have to have a business name. So we didn't think that the name that we were going to be using for the actual entity was going to be the name of the cigar brand and the cigar manufacturing process and everything else since then. And so, not too long before that happened, Kyle and Tanya lost their son, Ezra,
Okay.
and my wife and I lost our daughter, Coco Zion. And so we decided to name it Ezra Zion LLC.
What a tribute. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that way we can pay honor, to the two families, to the two children, and
Yeah.
everything else, and they would be a part of it, as our living children are.
Mm.
That name always lives on.
Exactly.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
So,
Wow.
yeah,
I mean,
there you go.
it's like right off the bat, I'm like,
Yeah, just
crying.
right in the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah,
Right?
jeez.
We haven't even got past the intro, and y'all just like, so
yeah.
let me just kick you in the junk.
Yeah.
And
Could
just
you have done
come
some
right out
homework,
with it.
Keith? I mean,
No, we went from you guys being from
Wow.
California to straight up sorrow.
wow. So this
Does
is
that help
actually,
round that out a little bit?
yeah. So this is absolutely coming from the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started just like that. When Kyle originally had his idea that he thought that we should get into the industry. This is all the way back in 2009, 2010. And he's like, "Hey, let's go to lunch.
Mhm.
Let's talk about this." He goes, "I got this crazy idea, man." Like, "What's that?" 'Cause he comes up with some crazy ideas.
True.
He's an artist. He's a published author. He's a recorded artist, so he's very artsy.
Okay.
And he goes, "Man, I think we should make cigars because we'd
I mean,
all
that
just get
explains a
together
lot.
and hang out,
Yeah.
You're always
Yeah,
having
I'm
a
just
cigar.
waiting. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah.
Just waiting for it.
barbecuing,
Chris.
barbecuing, smoking cigars, getting together, hanging out, coffee, cigars, and everything else." And I go, "Man, that's freaking fantastic. How do we do it?" And he's like, "I got no idea."
Mm.
That started the entire endeavor right there.
That's
Wow.
a good way to get started, though.
So how
Yeah.
how do you do it?
Yeah. How did you get started? Let's.
How much
let's
time we
start
got
there.
on this show,
Oh,
man?
we
Because
got
it was a
plenty.
long process.
Much
We
as
got
you
plenty.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So start from the
Yeah,
beginning.
there's not many.
Yeah.
There's not many like straight white male Americans that you would think that. Hey, we're going to start. We would think South America, Cuba,
Right.
even Africa, as far as tobaccos go, that you're going to find big cigar labels from.
Mm.
You guys have really
Flipped
gone
the script.
Yeah, but who actually thinks that? Who thinks?
Well, I mean,
I
if you
think I'm
look at
just gonna-
if you look at names on cigars, they're Latin oriented.
Right.
I mean, you're sitting around like smoking a what, CAO or something. You're
way to
like, I
name
think
drop.
I can do better than this.
Yeah, and there's a lot of competition already going out there. So tell us,
Yeah, so
tell
what
us
do you
how
do?
it,
You just, like-
how it happens.
Call up your bro in like Nicaragua. Or,
Okay, so
So start with y'all
Kinda.
were in California in flip flops.
yeah,
Damn,
yeah.
man.
yeah, chicken sandwiches, the whole thing, right? Yeah, 100%. No, so just like Chris
Just
said,
keep looking over there real quick.
yeah, there you go.
I'm bleeding out.
So yeah, it was like Chris said, getting together all the time, families hanging out, go after church, barbecue, cigars, and everything else. We just smoked a lot of cigars,
Yeah.
all the time. It was like our thing,
Yeah.
right? So if we'd had a podcast, it'd have been like Cigar Bros, but that wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't even like a thing back then.
I think
There-
that's
there was
available
barely a
still.
none of that.
Yeah.
Just
Now
saying.
everybody has one. Now
Yeah.
you need Cigar Bros because
Yeah.
you're part of everybody.
Mm.
This is the MySpace generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So we just knew we loved cigars, right?
Yeah.
So I had this idea, and when I went and talked to Chris about it, he's like, "Man, how do you do that?" And I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Dude, I don't know, but it would be cool, right?" It would just, and it just like it was like a bomb went off, and I was like, "We got to do this, right? We just got to figure it out." So even back then with social media, it's not like it is now, where everybody's just coughing up all the information. It was very closely held.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, it's other countries that I don't speak the lingua, right?
Mhm.
So, what do you do? So I was like, well, what do we smoke? What do we like? We go into our humidors and we're looking. It's like we're smoking a lot of Tatuaje, Aganorsa, back then Casa Fernandez, Viaje, just different brands. We're looking at Oliva,
Luzion.
yeah, Luzion, and I was like, wait a second, okay, we used to smoke a lot of different cigars, and over the the years and everything else, we whittled it down to like these are the ones we really really like. So we looked at it, it was like, well, these are all like Nicaraguan cigars, Nicaraguan based, manufactured cigars with a lot of Nicaraguan tobacco stuff like that. So I was like, well, let's just try to figure out what to do. Google, right?
Yeah.
You get on there and you start
Yeah.
looking, and it's like, hey, there's no phone numbers. I can't call anybody. I can't, I can't whatever, except for one. And it's because people that we literally still work with now, their factories are in Nicaragua, but they have one in Florida. And so there was a Florida number. So I called them up, and I'm ring, ring. And the lady answers the phone, bueno. And I'm like,
Yes, I've got the right one.
Okay, that's a good sign.
at
I'm
least the
buying
number
this.
works,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'd like to make cigars. I don't even know what to say, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to make cigars.
So you're just cold calling.
I just cold called. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, honey, that'd be
Wow.
great. That'd be
Oh,
that'd be so
honey,
great,
we
honey.
make you
Love.
the best cigars,
Yeah.
honey. Love.
We know
got
this
good
lady now,
cigars.
right? But yeah. Oh, honey, I was like, oh, okay, good. Well, what? Yeah, and the English is not great on the
Mhm,
other
yeah,
side,
right.
right? So I like to make cigars. Oh, honey, I could send you cigars. I'm like, oh, well, number one, I'm thinking I'm not going to turn down free cigars.
That's
Okay? Well,
right.
you want to send me whatever you want. Yeah, oh, what's your address? I give her my address. I'm like, okay, but no. But I'll take your free cigars. But what I want is I want to actually start whatever process. Again, I don't know the words to say. To start making cigar. I need to learn how to make cigar. I want to make my own cigars. Oh no, I send you. Like she didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna send you some stuff and you like it. I'm like, all right, well, so I called him back up after I got the phone with her, and I'm like, hey, well, he's like, how'd it go? I don't know, but I think we're getting some free cigars, I think, or something. Oh, dude, that's great. I'm like, I don't know, but
Wow, that was easy.
that was easy.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm having to pay a lot of money.
And
for
we're in
these,
the
but-
cigar business.
Yeah.
There you go.
So a week goes by, I get nothing. 2 weeks goes by, I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I call her back. Ring, ring, ring. Bueno. I'm like, oh, hey, good. It's the same lady, right? So I'm the guy that called you a couple weeks ago. You're supposed to send me some stuff. Honey, you never send me no tobacco permit. I can't send you. I was like, oh, you didn't.
Oh.
You need a tobacco permit? I didn't even know, right?
Oh wait, there's tobacco
So we
permits.
we
Okay,
do
so-
nothing.
So here comes the first lesson.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. First
Yeah.
lesson, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh okay. So I said, I always want to reiterate to you, I'm wanting to actually manufacture cigars with like my picture on the band, not my picture, but
Right.
like my artwork
Yeah.
on the band. And
Yeah,
like
you want to
my
sell
own
those,
name.
so don't do that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean,
fine, exactly. Yeah.
You need a license
So,
to
so
grow.
at the time, you thought there.
You need a license
Yeah.
to grow.
I
a
interrupted
plant,
you.
Roll
Sorry,
a
bro.
plant, and then sell that plant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah,
a license for
That's
everything.
everything.
Right?
That's
So,
America.
so yeah.
Wow.
So then we started to travel around to different cigar events at cigar lounges, bars, stuff like that, because you couldn't get in contact with anybody. And it was like, well, let's just show up at these places, right? So there was one we drove. It was a Saturday. We drove 5 hours to this cigar bar because the guy was there. Manuel Casada had just won a couple years ago, or a couple years before that, the Cigar of the Year with Casa Magna.
Casa
We
Magna,
loved
yeah.
it. We loved it, right? Amazing
Yeah.
cigar. And that was like the first iteration of Casa Magna. He said subsequent, since then. But it's like, let's go. Let's just see if we can talk to these people, right? Let's see if somebody will talk to us. So we finally, it was a big line, huge crowd, all this stuff, right? People buying boxes. Like, let's get a box. Let's do all this stuff. We finally get the line. Oh, hey guys, thanks for coming out. Typical cigar event type stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, hey, yeah, sign the box and everything. But hey, Mr. Casada, I would love to talk to you about making cigars. And he's like, oh, whoa. Thinking, crap. And we drove 5 hours, right? Saturday, I got to turn on and drive back home tonight. Like, it's just a one-day trip kind of thing. And he's like, why don't you boys wait until, he kept calling us you boys. Oh, anyway, it didn't really hit me until now, but he like literally just, that's all he called us. Why don't you boys wait until after everything is said and done and place closed down and we'll have a cigar together and you can ask me whatever you want. And I was like,
Yeah.
we
Okay,
waited
that's-
all day.
that's great.
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get to the sit down, right? And I
Yeah.
thought, dude, we're getting, this was like sitting down with, Elvis to us,
Yeah.
right? It was
Mhm.
amazing.
It's like it felt like real progress.
It was like our first, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also need to understand there's a starstruck,
Right.
situation that we're going through because not only are we going to
Mhm.
be talking about, what we want to do, we want to make cigars,
Mhm.
but we're also talking to
A legend.
the
The-
A legend.
manufacturer
The guy
Oh, yeah.
who
Oh.
that is
just
an
got
icon
the number one.
Yeah.
in the industry, cigar aficionado, number one cigar of the year. You're like, this is like sitting down with, Hetfield from Metallica.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Or
Like,
Dr. House.
Don't know who that
Yeah,
is.
maybe
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy drives a
No.
Tesla.
The fuck is Dr. House?
I mean, if I had a bizarre,
y'all remember
medical
Dr.
condition,
fucking
I know
House?
exactly House that you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Are you
but I
talking
mean,
about the show House?
Yeah.
That guy was an actor.
Jeez.
Headfield from Metallica is a fucking
real.
musician,
Yeah.
at least.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's
So
walks
like,
the
imagine
walk.
like you're wanting to learn how to play the guitar, right? And,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, now we get an opportunity to be able to talk to James.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Same sort of thing. Yeah, exactly the equivalent. Very, very well said. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
great
parallel.
reference
oh,
too.
yeah.
Great reference.
Yeah. Nice.
So, anyways, we
So-
get to sit down, right? And he goes, "Hey, let's pour some scotch." He's drinking scotch. And I was like, "Whatever you want." Yeah, great. Hey, sit down. Hey, let's light up some Casa Magnus and let's talk with you boys. I was like, "Great." So We sit down and I'm just, we're both starstruck, lighting this cigar up, and I'm just waiting. And he's like very slow. He's probably super tired, right? But he's very deliberate.
How old is this dude?
He's
I
like a Mr. Rogers of this.
Yeah, it's kind of like a
Okay.
Mr. Rogers, right?
Okay.
How old is
very
he? I mean,
deliberate.
back then, he's got grown children.
He's
I mean,
older, but
Yeah.
he's
I mean,
still-
the
he's
same
still
like
got some fire.
69.
sweaters.
I mean, I guess. Yeah, but
Sure.
give or take. Yeah.
Sure, Doc.
Okay. Okay. If you had to guess, 69.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what's on
Back
Doc's
then.
mind tonight.
Yep.
So he takes. I'll never forget it. Right. He takes his. I'm just waiting to be able to talk to this guy. And he's like super deliberate. I'm just like, frick, dude, I've been waiting here all day. 5 hours even before that. And he finally takes this big draw of this thing, and he goes, "All right, well, what do you boys want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, sir, I would like to make the greatest cigars in the world, and we just want to talk to you about that." And we wanna-" and he's like, "Oh." Again, slow. Takes a drink of the scotch, takes a big long puff of this cigar, and he hits the table like this with his hands like this big. Hits the table like this and goes, "Well, boys, first thing you need to know is it's a big difference between smoking cigars and making them." And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." And he's like, "So if you do want to make the greatest cigars in the world, first thing you need to do," and I'm on the edge of my seat, "first thing you need to do is forget about making cigars." And I was like, "Oh crap! I'm getting
That was my
punked by
whole
this
plan.
guy."
Yeah.
That was my whole plan, right? This is why
Yeah.
this is why I'm here. I'm like, "Oh crap, man! I just got totally punked by this guy, right?" And he goes, "No, what I mean by that is if you really want to make something special, right, and you want to have a career at this, and you want it to be more than just a novelty item that you show to people at, oh, your friends at barbecue, it's got your little face on it, and they're just horrible, but that's all it is a novelty.
Mm.
Forget about making cigars and become students of tobacco, and that's what you need to do." And I was like, "Oh," and so literally it went from I'm being punked by this guy to like, this guy is Master Yoda right now.
Right.
to us.
Yeah.
And
Dropping
so anyway,
some knowledge.
yeah, it was those kind of events through, Jonathan Drew helped us, Pete Johnson helped us,
Dang.
the Padrones helped us,
Yeah.
just speaking things like that, just the
Dion, all
knowledge.
the guys.
Dion, yeah, like
Is that Jonathan Drew of Drew Estate?
Oh yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
And but it was
Great
stuff like
guy.
that. I don't give a very long answer, but we said we had a lot of time.
Plenty.
But it's a crazy story because we knew nothing, and it was because of really good people that are in this industry that helped the gringos and that knew nothing, but they knew we loved cigars, right?
Mhm.
So that part was
Right, because
it's
he
super
he
cool.
could have been just the opposite when he looked at you too. Cause how old were we all when this happened?
This is 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
That's too much. math
13
for
years
this
ago.
guy,
Man, so I was
right?
30. Yeah.
So he could have
I
just
was
looked
a
at a
little
bunch
older.
of 30 gringos walking up and went, Psh, the hell
Yeah.
out of here.
100%.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what they called us. And
Yeah.
it kind of like became a thing no matter where we went in Nicaragua or when we were on the fields or whatever the case is. Oh, Dos Gringos.
Oh, really?
Oh, Dos
It
Gringos.
became
yeah.
a term of endearment. They knew you
It
as
did,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it did. It was a punchline in the beginning, but then it actually did, it really kind of, we embraced it.
Yeah.
You
What's
got to
up?
laugh
Mhm.
at yourself.
Right. Which, if you
sometimes.
didn't have already the story for your name, that would have been a sweet name for your cigars. Though.
Dos
Gringos.
Gringos.
Yeah.
It's probably already out there. I'd
Probably.
We
imagine.
actually
Oh,
make
we
a
made
gringo
a cigar,
cigar.
a gringo
yeah.
cigar.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, we have one coming out either December or January, but
I
yeah.
don't know.
Okay.
Whatever I had
Yeah.
tonight, we started before, 'cause
Mamacita.
I won't let us smoke in here, but I had the Mamacita from Ezra Zion. There it is.
Yeah.
That was a good smoke.
was great.
A Maduro.
Yep.
Robusto.
Nope, Toro.
Toro. Okay.
Toro.
Honestly,
650.
I'm a fan of the House Maduro. You
Mhm.
know, it's like that's a nice, believe it or not, like mild Maduro and and fairly well balanced. It doesn't like kick you in the throat or anything. But that Mamacita was
It was
great,
excellent. Everything
too.
we've had from y'all so far has been
Yeah.
excellent. So the
Good.
training
Mm.
worked.
Well,
Well,
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to go back even before then, right? So I know, I know.
Start when a man
It's like
loves
how
a
long?
woman.
So
Yeah.
is,
When
is
you were an
this like-
embryo, were you thinking?
Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
I love a cigar
When two
right
people
now.
love each other.
I mean, still, I don't understand how you decide like, okay, this is going to become reality, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how long did it take y'all to take the first step
I mean,
to
it
make
was-
the cold call?
I'll
to,
let you
to
talk
be
because
like,
I've been
no,
talking.
this is going to happen.
so
Because I
Years.
think like we sit around. Sorry,
Mhm.
I'm Mr. Interrupto,
Yeah.
but
He's good
yeah.
at it.
Yeah, we sit around and we think of up an idea, and we might think up 20 ideas in a month, and then we just like one of them every 6 months might hit, right?
Yeah.
So was this like that, or was it like, calculated?
No,
Right?
it definitely wasn't. I understand your thought process
Yeah.
in that, because since then, you can call us serial entrepreneurs, right? We
Yeah.
have multiple businesses
Mhm.
that we're involved with, either, on a day-to-day or on an investment level and everything else. And so I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit different because, number one, Kyle and I are believers, right? And so
Mhm.
we take our faith very, very deliberately. And he felt strongly that this was an impression that he got from the Lord,
Mhm.
that, this is a direction that you boys are supposed to be going down.
You
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
all right, you
Yeah.
boys.
got in
us
there.
you
It's
boys.
one thing.
Sounds
It's
like
one thing
another
to have
name
that.
for a
In other
cigar.
words, Dos Gringos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dos
yeah.
Gringos.
It's
Yeah.
one thing to have that feel good feeling. You're sitting around with your buddies and bullshit. No, we got
Right.
this great idea. But then, like, okay, it's a great idea. Now we got to capitalize on it. Now we really
Yeah.
have to make waves here. So that's
Yeah, and that's what it is. We have a mantra that we do with all of our businesses, with everything that we do: crawl, walk, run. Right? We're gonna crawl before we walk. We're gonna
Mhm.
walk before we run. And we're gonna run before we sprint. Right? And so we said, all right, well, let's do this. And if the door opens, then the door opens.
Mhm.
And if the door gets slammed in our face, then we know it's not the right thing. And like Kyle was saying, just the amount of, and I don't think this would ever happen today because the world has totally changed. But back in the day, these icons, Pete and Jorge and all these, Paul and Eduardo and all these guys that just opened up their knowledge to us.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to.
So it was kind of a pivotal time in the cigar industry
Mhm.
for that reason.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it could have been, but we didn't know it at the time, right? We
Yeah.
were just two guys who were like, "Oh man, we
Yeah.
love cigars. Like we're like crazy about cigars, and like we should make our own."
Right.
I was, well, who will actually? How do you do it? I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have a
Yeah.
I don't have a family lineage of grandpappy was making cigars since I don't
Mhm.
know, right? We're
Yeah.
just
We didn't
literally
come from the
Dos
tobacco
Gringos.
fields of Kentucky or anything,
Yeah.
but one thing that we did do is that we listened. And when we saw an opportunity, we took it. So, for example, Aganor's, Casa Fernandez, Paul and Eduardo and everything else. Oh, you guys want to do cigars, this, that, and everything else. Come talk to us in Nicaragua.
Mhm.
And then that
Mhm.
was like it. And we're like, all right, F it.
Yeah.
do it.
We just buying tickets and we're going down to
Yeah.
Nicaragua. And then we go to the factory and we're like asking around, like, hey, where's the Casa Fernandez factory? And they're like, you go down here, you turn at the donkey,
Yeah.
you make a right at the tree, and then there's a steel door. That's the outer courtyard. And you just, you go in. And so we literally just showed up. Hey, you said come to Nicaragua. And
Gringos
they're
are
like,
here.
all right,
Yeah.
hey, step one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
exactly.
guys had the balls to be able to get down and actually leave the country, get out of
Mhm.
the comfort. They're not just looking to phone it in, because let's be honest, you could phone in literally any business.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I want to reference what you said about the timing of it. Like y'all were in the perfect timing of that era because it was before the dawn of Instagram, and now it's like you have these legendary cigar makers. Hey, they're rolling cigars on Instagram. Well, every Tom, Dick, and Harry now that's interested in tobacco is going to be sending no messages. I want to learn cigar roll. I don't want to learn to make cigars. I want to learn to make cigars. I don't have anything else going
Now
on.
we
I'm
get those messages, right?
Yeah.
Now you're the guys getting those messages. So yeah, your timing was probably perfect.
Yeah, it was spot on. And we backed up. We do what we say and we say what we do, right? So when they said, hey, come down here, we went down there. When they said, be a student of tobacco, we were students of tobacco. We weren't bullshitters. Like one of the stories with Manolo, he said, okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you boys out some cigars.
Mhm.
I want you guys to smoke these cigars and then tell me what you think about it. And then we can start the process. And so we're like, oh man, now this is fantastic. So we get
He's
the
like,
cigars.
I just want to see where your
I
guess his palates
wanna
are
see
at.
where your
Let me just-
palates
let me get-
are,
Let me just get a gauge for
everybody
it. I
has
was
a
like, my
different
palate's
palate.
great.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you that. Oh, yeah, let's just, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to send me free cigars? I was like, dude, this is the smartest thing we ever did.
We did a
Everyone's
lot of
wanted to
free
send, oh,
cigars. We
send me
did.
cigars.
Yeah.
So we get these cigars and we smoke them. And like the first one we smoke, we're like, I mean, it's
This
not
is
that good.
kinda
It's
awful.
kind of
Yeah.
not that good. So we're
Yeah.
like, it's just us. This is Manolo Casada. This is cigar of the year we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the second cigar. And we do it. And we do it for all 5 cigars that he sends us. And
Did you smoke the whole sticks or just a few?
no,
No.
Okay.
about
Just
we.
curious.
I
They
mean,
were
we definitely
bad,
gave
man.
it through a third, halfway
Yeah.
through. But we're
Okay.
just like,
We
these are
give
just
it a fair
nothing.
shot.
We did.
You were trying to like these cigars.
We were trying
Yeah.
to like it.
Yeah.
But if we were being honest with ourselves, we weren't.
Mhm.
And you were being
And-
honest with him that you weren't liking it.
So what we did is we had a follow-up call with him. So we get on the phone, right?
Mhm.
And, he's like, hey, I sent you those cigars. I want to hear what you guys have to say about them. And so we're kind of like him and Han. I mean, hey, thank you very much for sending out the cigars.
Yeah, did we tell him the truth?
It's not, this and that and everything else. And finally we get to the point where just like, I mean, in all honesty, thank you very much, but none of the cigars were within our, what we would consider something that we would want. And we're trying to be as gracious as we
Right.
can.
Yeah,
Right?
how do you say it? How do you,
How-
we're
how
just
do you
like,
tell 'em that
really,
these
we just
cigars
didn't think they were
suck?
that great. We just didn't like them. They just didn't hit us right. They weren't good. So
Yeah.
and we literally had it, like, he forced us to actually come out with that. Like,
Yeah.
they're just not that good. They're not good.
And once we said that again with the hand, good. Now I know you're not going to bullshit
Wow.
me.
He
and we
was
could start
testing
learning
us.
how
He
to
was
make cigars.
deliberately fucking
Yeah.
with you.
Oh,
He
wow.
deliberately sent those out as
He
a
sent,
test.
like grass clippings or
And,
something.
I mean, God only knows what it was. Maybe they weren't even his cigars, but he wanted to see if we were going to engage on the level of bullshit or if we
Right.
were actually going to be
Yeah.
man enough to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what we don't
Don't
want,
want.
Yeah.
and we'd like to work on something that we do want. And we just kept doing that,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of who we are. I mean, if we're a part of something and it's jiving and it's good, then hey, great. And if
Great.
it's something it's just not feeling right, it's rubbing us the wrong way,
You're
it's
gonna
too
say
gritty, we're
something.
trying to force it, then maybe it's best that we just don't participate in this.
Yeah.
There's the old adage, you always it's being on the right bus in the right position.
Yeah. I think as of 2017, the Whiskey Bros have like 4 projects that have yet to be finished.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
We're
Sure.
gonna get around to those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all about that. The entrepreneurship spirit, and we just
Just
don't get it done.
Haven't pushed.
I mean, if
pulled
it
the
doesn't
trigger.
feel right, but okay, well, this isn't about the Whiskey Bros.
No, I'm
Right.
just making
Yeah,
a
but
joke.
but with that said, we're not very good about
Obviously, you have
defining
people
our
that
no.
take their
being
i-
able to
Yeah.
come and say, okay,
Yeah.
this just is not.
they can
gonna
take their
happen.
idea and literally run with it and perfect it.
Yeah, or say, yeah, this isn't gonna happen. Like
Mhm.
the Whiskey Bro table,
We never said it's not going to happen. It's just sitting.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
said, no, this cigar is not. We're not feeling right about this.
Oh, dude, it was literally like, what, 5 different blends or whatever it was?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, and I want to just see where you guys' palette is, the kind of, it's like every musician has their own song inside and,
Their own
something-
expression.
Yeah, your own
Yeah.
expression. Like, what do you? And so when we smoked them, we're like, dude, these
Wow.
are awful. He's like, all right, now I know you guys are
It
actually
smells like
good. You know your
ash.
stuff. I was
Right.
like, what?
That's great.
Yeah. It was
But
pretty
as far
cool.
as decision making goes, everything that Kyle and I do, we're 50-50 in everything we do.
Yeah.
And we have a rule. 1 no, and it's off the table. We don't have to explain ourselves. We don't
Okay.
have to, it's either 100% yes, and we're going to go into it, or it's 100% no, we're not going to go into it. And if we're 100% yes and we go into it, and one of us starts feeling the EBGBs or just starts saying this isn't it,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to explain himself, about
Mhm.
why he wants to stop this endeavor or stop pursuing this acquisition or whatever it is,
Mhm.
right? It's just, you know what, I'm not feeling that. Okay, great. We pulled chalks. We made that decision very early on because we were either going to be in unity on something because disunity breeds chaos, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, life's hard enough as it is. And if you're going to go out there and you're going to start something or cultivate something or start a new business or something like that,
Yeah.
and one of you, subconsciously, he's not 100% into it.
Yeah.
I mean, then it just opens up an opportunity for the enemy to come in and just be like, oh, you know what, that fucker, he's not carrying his
Mhm.
load, and I'm over here,
Yeah.
freaking picking up the work and this and that, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds
Man.
highly efficient, but does it ever cause any animosity when somebody's told no? You don't dwell on it?
I mean,
It's
I'll
just-
be honest, and just speaking on my behalf, there's been some times when I'm like, oh, dude, I got this fucking great idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, bro, we are literally gonna Elon Musk the shit out
Yeah.
of this thing and just freaking take it to the.
I'm all,
Take it to
And
the-
he's like,
Take it to the Mars.
and
Not
he
gonna-
goes,
he's like, not gonna work.
No, I'm just, and I'm just like, damn it.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
But
you just move on. You don't
but
dwell
then
on
I'm
it.
mature enough to be able to take my damn it and just keep it down, and then and then afterwards I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, okay.
Hire a
wouldn't
therapist.
work.
and, Why are you sad today? Well, my fucking business partner told me
Yeah.
no.
Told me I wasn't Elon Musk.
So we couldn't go
Hey,
get.
that's a good business
You're
partner
almost
right
Elon
there.
Musk.
Yeah, it really is. You have to have that balance, especially
Yeah.
if you're working in a serious partnership. You got to have that balance and that
So-
respect.
So would y'all go into business on your own, having had a business partner for 13 years.
I was.
Yeah, so I legitimately asked this because I've talked to
Doc's thinking
people.
about starting his own podcast.
No, I've talked to people within
It'll be
the
a professional
business
one.
community who make
Whiskey
the
Bro.
claim.
You'll have some whiskey bro, yeah.
Yeah, they make the claim you should never have a 50-50 partner.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I was in the Marines, and then I was a state trooper, and then I went and I came back from Iraq, did another year on the job as a gun toter, and then I decided that was it, and I went back into construction and started my own construction company and a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew what it was like to have your own business by yourself, and I knew the challenges. I'm gifted. I mean, in all humility, I am gifted in a lot of things, but not in everything. I'm the numbers guy. I'm the operational guy. I'm the logistics guy. I'm the guy that makes the notes. I'm the guy that just tacks stuff down and everything else. But I'm not the marketing guy. I'm not very well versed. I don't know how to write. I could barely spell my name. I was an infantryman. Come on. I learned how to kill people and break things, right? And after that, so I mean, I literally thank God every day that I'm in business, not only with my best friend because our families are so close and everything else, but with somebody that brings that other side to the table. So if you're asking me, my answer is no. I don't know what he says. Maybe he wants to do a solo mission.
What was the question?
The question was,
could you do the business on your own? Would
Oh,
you do it
I'm
by
keeping
yourself?
up.
yeah, or
No.
what's better?
Hey, you just said you were
what's
the
better?
logistics guy.
Yeah,
50-50
exactly.
partnership with somebody? It's like a marriage, right? I mean, we don't have to go down that.
But I feel like if you want
50-50 partnership with somebody is kind of like a marriage.
It is in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it worth doing? Because partnership in a lot of ways can be extremely difficult.
Well, I would say my answer to that is you can never do a good deal with a bad partner.
Yeah.
Right? And so it depends on the people if you're going to be in business.
Oh,
But
this is a deep answer.
that's true. Dude, that's what
Yeah.
I do, bro.
yeah.
You need to drink
I would
more.
yeah.
Yeah,
You-
right.
It's just it's
when
like
you-
you
when
can't
you drink,
can't do
you're-
a happy marriage with a bad.
It doesn't matter if it's a spouse, doesn't matter if it's a vendor, doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's a customer.
Yeah.
You can't do good deals with bad partners, right? So
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to the people, right? I think what makes it work, for Ezra Zion is that, like Chris said, Chris is super crazy gifted. He really is, right? Super talented guy. And we're talented in different areas, right? God's
Totally.
designed us and gifted us in different areas, and they complement one another. So we're different in our, skill sets and stuff like that, but our values are the same. I think that's key, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
those things being in alignment are what make it work. So, like Chris said, we're believers like that. The number one spot is, the Lord Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
So that solves and answers a lot of questions for us and what we want to do and who we are, what we're going to do, what we're not going to do,
Mhm.
because that's just a frame of reference and the mindset that we're coming from. So everything else kind of just falls into place. But again, I can't give a blanket answer for anybody else, but I know that
Yeah.
it works for us.
So that kind of leads me maybe to a second chapter, right? So the question is maybe what a lot of people in the Christian evangelical South would ask is, how does the Lord Jesus Christ lead you to whiskey and tobacco or
I love this
cocktails
show.
and tobacco? Yeah,
you are
that's
in
a
the
tough-
Bible Belt.
Yeah, so
He's
that's
a
a tough,
good
tough
father.
question.
That's right.
But that's the question that is the butt of the joke of the old Catholic and Baptist thing. How do you know the difference between a Baptist and a Catholic?
How?
A Catholic will shake your hand on the way out of the liquor store. Everybody drinks and everybody smokes. So the people in the Bible Belt that are
That's
gung ho
good.
on Sundays and Wednesdays or whatever are still smoking and drinking.
Yeah, you just lost like 20 of our followers.
Goodbye.
Well, I'll let the theologian here, the doctorate in theology, answer that
yeah,
question.
yeah.
Well,
Are you?
I have a doctor of ministry degree. Yeah,
Are you a Baptist?
I was a pastor. We met at
Awesome.
church.
That's where we
I'm
met,
a-
it was
yeah,
at
I'm a
church.
pastor for
Awesome.
13, 15, whatever it was years. Yeah.
Dude, don't look at me.
This is
I've been
literally like
drinking.
my favorite question. So
Yeah. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I would say that. I mean, when I say I'm a Christian, like I'm actually like a real Christian, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not just I phoned it in on Sunday. Like I actually live this, right? And so does Chris. So my thing is, okay, well, if you have a problem with it from a religious whatever perspective, show me a verse.
Scripture backs
Tell
it up.
tell me where. I live by this book. Great. Well, don't destroy the temple of the Lord.
I was going to
okay.
say that's what
well then
everybody's
if you
gonna
then
say.
you need to
Right.
put down your French fries and your don't even start with me, people.
That's
Right?
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like Domino's Friday night just shouldn't happen.
Well, yeah, if we're
Yeah.
gonna, if that's the
Yeah.
argument, then I mean, come on, guys,
Let's talk about Chick-fil-A then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, let's talk
I
about a
mean,
lot
come
of
on.
different stuff. But
Ooh, don't
let's not
Chick-fil-A.
go that
there
far.
goes the
Yeah.
rest of our followers.
yeah, and we love Chick-fil-A. God bless. Yeah,
Oh, Chick-fil-A, the Cathy family are fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
I
God's
ate,
that's God's chicken.
I had a
right there.
breakfast
That is God's
burrito from
chicken.
Chick-fil-A, a fried chicken breakfast burrito, but just because I don't ever do Chick-fil-A, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm driving through the TMS area, and I'm like, okay, Chick-fil-A, I'll try it. It was terrible. Don't have fried chicken for breakfast. It was terrible.
Whatever. Fried
Yeah.
chicken.
I mean,
Chick-fil-A's a
Chick-fil-A's
bomb.
great.
Yeah,
That sauce.
it's still fast food.
It's coming from the guy
Yeah.
that'll go at 2:00 in the morning and get fucking Jack in the Box tacos. Don't listen to nothing they say.
That is
Dude, I
everybody.
I remember
know
that when I was
Don't-
in
don't-
college.
don't
There
Your
was
listen to
audience
nothing
is
everybody-
they
rude.
say. Yeah.
Everybody at this table, I don't know about these two, but these three MFers right here are all about Jack in the Box.
That's
So
right.
We are all guilty.
Yeah,
Equally
It's
guilty.
poison.
but you don't hear me
I
saying,
I can in no
"Oh,
way
it's fast
endorse
food
that.
and oils and I'm gonna go get a goddamn taco if I want a taco. Simple as that."
No, but I really want to stay on this topic because what I got from you was a bit of an apologetics sort of answer. You know, like this is not why this is why it's not bad, right? Okay, but you know, for me, it's also about the fellowship, right? You know, there's something about cigar and maybe a little social lubricant
Mm-hmm.
that does breed like openness, right? And,
Very
and
true.
positive conversation.
Yeah.
I think cigars unfairly got wrapped in with cigarette smoking. And I think that's
100%,
why they have
100%.
such a stigma around them, as they're
Yeah,
considered the
100%.
same as
Well,
cigarettes.
tobacco has been very villainized,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you actually go back and study, which you can go on the internet and do, and I would highly encourage people to do, and not just take this, whatever the government tells you. Yeah, I'm going to be that guy right now.
Mhm.
No, please be that guy.
But
We
it's-
love those guys.
This plant, right? I know all the marijuana people are like,
Yeah.
I love this
I love this guy. He's
I
a
love
plant.
Ezra Zion.
He's ready to bring it.
Yeah,
It's a
but,
God-given
you know,
plant.
it
comes
is.
from the earth.
It comes from the
Mhm,
earth,
yeah.
and it's not intoxicating, right? If you're gonna, take that's the tack of or the line for allowable, not allowable. It's not intoxicating. So I think it's funny on one hand where there's people who will sit down and have a glass of wine or two, or kill a bottle, at dinner or whatever. But then you have a problem with me smoking cigars. Wait a second, I can't
Mhm.
have too many cigars and not be able to drive.
Yeah.
I'm not impaired. So
Right.
if we're gonna put a hierarchy together of vices, cigars, it should be
it's-
way down on
way
the
on the
list,
bottom,
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that part of it. But from a scriptural part, I can show you a scripture that says, well, you shouldn't get drunk, right? I can say, but it doesn't
Right.
say don't drink. I can
Right.
point to scriptures that tells you to drink, right? So a lot of that is you need to be led by the Spirit of God on what that is for you. If you have a problem with it, there's a lot of years that Chris he wouldn't drink at all. And he's
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
this is something that I've had a past with, and I'm just going to set it down. For years and years and years would not.
Mm.
And then he started to be like, hey, I feel like I have freedom in this. I feel like God's done a work more, and he's great, right? It's a great example of the appropriate, responsible way to enjoy, which that's what it is, right?
Yes.
To enjoy wine or whiskey or a cigar. And the Bible says that God gives us richly all things to enjoy. He is a good God.
Right.
That's the God I know. That's the God in the Bible, not
Right.
a religious it's very clearly defined, do this, don't do this in the Bible, but they're not there to ruin your life. They're there to keep you from making
Mhm.
dumb freaking decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, if you really get down to it, that's what it is. Try to save you from you being dumb.
Really, really good guidelines, but it never says, don't enjoy.
Yeah.
It says to enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's probably
Just don't be a fool.
No, and I'm
Right.
going to get on my soapbox here a little bit, but that's just kind of where I live.
Let's
Yeah.
have it.
I would say that most Christians need to
Enjoy.
enjoy some stuff and quit
Absolutely.
being so freaking high strung
Yeah.
and judging everybody about everything, because that's number one, not your job,
Yeah.
right? It's the Holy Spirit's job. So I look at it like, for me personally, and again, I can't speak for anybody else, but I know what God told me to do. He told me to make cigars, so that's what I did.
And it's working.
And
You're
He's blessed
doing-
it,
yeah.
and like you said, it's brought a lot of people together. I've had more
Yeah.
opportunities to share my faith, to share Jesus with people in a cigar lounge or at a cigar event or something like that,
Mhm.
even than when I was pastor to church. That's
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
but that's true.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you're really thinking about it, that the people that you've met and all those, not saying that they're all bad people, but it's the type of people that if you are following what Jesus did, It's the type of people that he said go and get,
Exactly.
not the people that necessarily are at church, especially these days. I mean,
Yeah. Well, think about it. So if you go read through the Gospels, right? Jesus was persecuted by the church people, quote unquote, right? For doing what? Where would he be at on a Friday night? He'd be down on the square at Ezra Zion Cigar Bar,
right.
you know,
Come
having
on.
some cigars and hanging out with people and building relationship and loving people and,
Right.
and helping people. And, you know, he'd be there
or
for
worse
the people, right?
places than that.
Or
even.
worse places than that. Yeah. I'm just trying to go to the lowest dregs of what we had on the square.
Yeah.
Right. So
Nice.
That's a really good segue about. I had the note. I don't know if you were reading out that, but I put it
Chapter
up there
3.
about places like Ezra
Mhm.
Cigar Bar, what the whiskey what?
Put your pen down.
Oh, sorry, man, I'm talking. This
I
is
know,
this
but
is my
it's-
comfort
it's-
pen.
it's hard. It's
It's
hard to
fun.
talk without
This is
smoking
my-
cigars.
this
I
is
gotta
my
say, this is
comfort
really
Well,
hard.
You can open one up and chew on it.
It's weird. Yeah, I got to hold one though.
Didn't Rush Limbaugh always have? I mean, when he quit smoking, didn't he still have a cigar that he
His
chewed on?
formerly nicotine stained
exactly.
Hand,
hands.
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
got the golden mic right here in front of him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Kyle does. So, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, see?
Yeah, we were talking about how we're rush babies.
We are
before
rush
the
babies.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, gone too soon, Rush Limbaugh. But it's a great segue into Ezra Zion Cigar Bar, what even the Whiskey Bro name represents, and it's like good quality of life, networking, and being around people, real people in real life, not the digital thing where you're,
Yeah.
it's not isolated. Just being around people, being in public, getting to know your community.
It's a valuable
Yeah.
point, bro.
Networking with other business owners, whatever, just being out in public and being a part of your community. And I think that's the best way to describe what Ezra Zion represents
Yeah.
and what the Whiskey Bros represent. We're not 19, hammering back shot after shot of whiskey. That's not what the Whiskey Bro name means. So, yeah,
Right.
I'm glad that was brought up. So,
So I got a question real quick. Can I ask a question? Is that
Absolutely.
Is that
You're
allowed?
allowed.
That's
you have to raise your hand though.
This is a freedom of speech
Excuse me,
zone.
James.
Any question you want to ask?
So Heath,
Yes.
when I know we've met before,
Yep.
the Ezra Zion Cigar Lounge and everything else, but the night that we had our opening,
Yep.
and you were there and everything else, you asked a question when you all were there.
I did.
You remember what that question was?
I probably asked a bunch of questions. One of them was, "Can you come on the podcast?
The other
Yeah.
one was probably like,
Yes.
"Hey, can we get
Can we get our brand on our
Ah.
cigar, on y'all's cigar?"
So do you remember what
Mhm.
my answer was to that?
I remember you talking about it. I can't remember what you said.
I
though.
believe you said something to the nature of
you have to
yes.
spend $4,000 here.
It
to be in
depends.
consideration
I think the words
No.
were, "It depends on what your tab is at the end of this night."
Yeah.
Something to that.
That sounds
nature.
like Chris.
No
Oh,
shit.
So
Oh,
this is-
my
this is something
goodness.
that
This is
Oh,
legit.
dude.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
I wish we
Okay.
could light him up
Hey,
right now.
you know, yeah. I mean,
Oh
that's
my
that's
gosh.
exactly
Sure.
what we thought we were going to be able to do. But
Boom.
That's
But,
freaking
um,
awesome, dude.
Whiskey Bros Cigars. And look on, I love this image on the back.
My face.
That's-
Oh,
There it goes.
Is it your face?
It is.
It is Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
That
that's
is
pretty
Abraham
freaking
Lincoln.
awesome,
Yes.
dude.
so, when you were talking about just being able to have a place where you could go and you can enjoy and you can hang
Mhm.
out, you can come and do nothing and just work. You can come and do nothing and watch.
Right.
Or one of the things that cigars represent to us, and we may have gotten into this a little bit when we were all at the lounge and everything else, is every cigar is a celebration.
Mhm.
Whether it's a celebration of a hard day work,
Yeah.
or with the birth of a child or promotion at work, but it's also could be a celebration of life. Kyle and I got together and there's a cigar that's very special to me that when we lost our daughter that I smoked, a Padron 26. And that cigar will always, whenever
Yeah.
we'd be traveling and I go to a cigar lounge and I smell that, it just instantaneously takes me right back there. Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So, just whether it's again, a hard day's work or just, hanging out with your friends and everything else, you're literally taking plant leaves, right? And we don't do any additives. Ours are premium cigars. There's no adulteration done to the tobacco and everything else. And then you're lighting it and you're enjoying that with a beverage or without a beverage. But it's just one of those things that being able to have that. And so when Heath had asked that question that night, and Kyle was just like, dude, it'd be awesome. He goes, it'd be legit if we could get on the podcast and then we could smoke their cigar.
And then
Just, like,
debut
pull
these.
that out.
Yeah.
That's
And
freaking
everything else.
badass.
That's why I was asking, like, hey, can we do it
That's-
at the lounge? And you're like, we're not mobile yet. Oh, dude, I get it, and everything else. But one of the advantages we have, being able to be a manufacturer is, we can do these kind of things. So
Yeah.
it's super fun. Not that we do customs, because we don't. I
Right.
mean, you could look at our history, you could look at, the different things, and we do not do customs, but you guys are bros. And so we just wanted to bless on you
Thanks a
all and give
lot.
you guys something,
These are
and,
very special.
yeah.
Well, you got to see how they taste. They might be horrible,
we do.
right?
We
We might be
just need-
testing you like
We just
Manolo
need to talk
Casada.
Chance into cranking one up real quick.
Fuck it, let's
Yeah.
fire them up.
Fuck
I
it.
don't.
Seriously?
Are
we doing this?
What?
No.
We
Oh, dude.
we
You
need
don't
something.
get our-
Dude.
You don't get
I
our
love
own
y'all.
cigars made and
We
say
need-
no to
That is
lighting them up.
We need something to ash in.
Let me
So
go.
explain the.
Yeah, y'all talk among yourselves.
Yeah.
Explain the.
If we're gonna smoke, I can't talk until I smoke.
Okay.
My
Okay.
brain doesn't even work.
He just
Okay.
went into
Okay.
vapor lock.
Vapor lock, baby.
You're over there looking at that brush foot, aren't you?
Okay, yeah. So that's what
Okay.
I want you to
Yeah.
explain the
Oh,
wrapper on this, because
love
it terminates before like the end of the cigar. So you call that a brush foot?
Call it brush foot, shaggy foot, broom foot. I mean,
Okay.
different terms for it. So if you look at our cigars, right, there's a couple reasons, but for the flavor reason, a lot of our cigars, most of our cigars, the wrapper will go over the end of the cigar, over the foot, right?
Okay.
So there's a reason for that, flavor-wise. So when you first light it up and you take that first puff, you're getting wrapper leaf,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So, and it goes across
Yeah.
your palate and it gives you a certain flavor note. It wakes up your palate, everything else. 2, 3, 4 puffs in, the binder and the filler tobaccos light up with the wrapper, right? And so
Yeah.
then it becomes an entirely different flavor profile, complexity that comes across your palate. So we want our cigars to be very complex, like a roller coaster.
Sure.
There should be stuff coming in, stuff coming out, stuff coming, just complex. We hate smoking cigars that it's like one note the whole way through, and it could even
Yeah.
be good, right?
Yeah,
it's
one
like, oh, it
Too
tastes
dimensional.
linear.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
linear, right? Horrible. We want complexity. So
Same
that's
thing with whiskeys.
exactly
Right.
Yeah. Well said.
Right.
Yeah, you can get something like that's good, but it tastes like two things, and then it tastes like that the whole way through. Well, it's really boring real fast. So the opposite of that is a broom foot or shaggy foot. We typically call it a broom foot. So you'll be smoking that binder
Yeah.
and that filler tobacco for the first half inch, whatever 5-10 minutes or whatever, and then all of a sudden that wrapper leaf's gonna hit, and then you're gonna get a whole new look at that
Yeah.
particular blend, and then it should change all throughout. So this should be a blend that pairs amazing with whiskey, and I think you guys are gonna like it. So
Dude, I am
Man,
so
this is great.
freaking excited.
Me too.
I did not think that we were going to be able to smoke this with y'all tonight.
Yeah, we can't not
Yeah, we
smoke.
can't
now.
not.
I'm just about
Yeah.
to lose my ish right now.
So did you say what this cigar was? I'm sorry, I was out gathering stuff. So
I would just explain it like shaggy broomfoot
Yeah.
versus closed foot cigar.
Okay.
Man.
One of the things before Kyle gets into the blend, if he wants to get into that a little bit
Definitely.
and everything else. So one of the things that you'll notice about our cigars that we make, and whether it's a house blend, like you said, you
Yeah.
really enjoy that house Maduro,
Yes.
right?
I continue to.
And we were taught this very early on from Arsenio Ramos.
Oh, you're
and
giving
some of
up
the other
secrets.
guys. Well, no, I mean, it's
Ooh.
just,
Ooh.
it's got to have balance.
Yeah.
The cigar has to have balance. It can't be something that when you draw it in your mouth, it just takes you straight up and then drops you straight down.
Yeah.
It has to have balance. And so as you're enjoying the cigar in your mouth and it's coating your palate and you're retrohaling it, it is like a nice, even, smooth arc that by the time you're done exhaling, it's leaving your palate wanting more,
Mhm.
wanting another puff.
That's exactly what our friend said about the chicken sandwich in
That's
Dallas.
exactly what he said. Now
Man, I've
on
not
this
thought of that. about
on
it
this
like
great
that.
cigar, you two have runt me, right?
Do what?
Oh, I know. We're
Runt.
going to have
No.
some conversation about this because
No,
this is
you've runt me because I'm smoking this and I'm like, this sons of bitches testing us right now.
Oh, no, this ain't no
Is this
test.
a legit
Oh,
cigar?
yeah,
or
this
is
cigar
this
sucks, man. What are
trash
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
want us to say
Just look at the bottom of the band underneath where it says Whiskey Bros. What does it say on the bottom?
Yeah.
Ezra Zion? So y'all wouldn't have put that on there,
exclusive.
There's
surely.
I'm
no
gonna put my
damn
name on something
way in
nasty.
God's good earth that we'd ever put Ezra Zion on something that wasn't good.
Yeah, that is different up at very first with that brush foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you smoke it, like right now, right?
Who's got
Flavor.
the lighter?
it's
They're,
right
both,
here.
they're both over there. So what you should be tasting right now, there should be it's I wouldn't say it's light, but it's medium as far as strength,
Mhm.
earthy, creamy, real creamy. I mean the finish I'm
Yep.
getting right now, vanilla. The chocolate is milk chocolate, but it's a light milk chocolate, right?
cat. Can
It
you
is.
can you
It
just shut
is
the barn
very
doors so they don't
light.
come through?
Very creamy.
Easy, just
Yeah.
gently. So if you're,
It's very pleasant.
yeah, very pleasant, very
So is
very
that the
balanced.
brush foot?
So that's just this. Yeah, this is that particular blend of tobacco, right?
Okay.
But you're smoking binder and filler and no wrapper at this point, right?
That's right.
So if you're just lighting this up, just hey, I'm smoking this to enjoy it. We're not actually dissecting it, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna smoke it. You're gonna, oh yeah, good. Take
Yeah.
a couple puffs. You're gonna drink some whiskey.
I do need some whiskey.
Yeah.
Once again,
So
Pass them
pair
bottles.
that with the
I can't
whiskey.
do everything at
right?
once.
Any whiskey.
Yeah.
I want the Whistle Pig. We've had this Whistle Pig for like 4 years now.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
finish it.
fantastic.
It's
tonight.
gonna be done tonight, baby.
Yeah.
Well, this is incredible.
This is quite the treat. Thank
This is
you
a
guys.
very
You bet.
and this is the first on the show for us puffing in here.
It is. Y'all. I guess y'all popped our cherry.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I was trying to twist it to where it was the
Wow,
other way
3
around.
in one night. That's
I
some
know.
kind of record.
Is that a record for you guys?
Hope you brought rags. I remember in 2018 we were at it was in downtown Bridgeport on Hostel Street. It was some event. It was I forget who was playing. It was a cover band that were playing.
It was the
Spasmatics.
no, I know, but it was the Taste of Wise or Taste
Yeah,
of Bridgeport.
okay, so
thing.
that was
Yeah,
going
Taste of
on.
Bridgeport.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was 2018, and I'm guessing y'all were already established in the area
Yep.
at that point. But we hadn't heard of you yet until
We're gonna get into that. By
one
the
of
way,
these
but-
guys shows up, and I think y'all were selling cigars there
Yeah.
on site.
Yep.
Yep.
They show up and they're like, "There's a cigar company, and we bought these cigars. Let's fire them up." I'm like, "Where-"
Alvord.
yeah, they're from Alvord. I'm like, what?
Alvord.
But
Where the
cigar-
heck is Alvord?
Where's that at?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you
Oh,
know where
excuse
Alvord
me,
is,
Alvoid.
people, yeah, if
Yeah.
you know where
We're in
Alvord
the
is, you're like,
Void.
there's people making cigars in Alvord. What? Okay, this has got to be some horse shit. Let's try it. And we fire them up and like, God dang, these are good
Yeah.
cigars, man.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa!
I wish we could remember what they were, but
I
There's
I
no
don't
way I
know.
could,
Whatever y'all were rolling on the night of 2018 or selling. And
Yeah, it
who
was
knows?
probably just our core line.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
It was
y'all
just
were
our core line because we were right by
the Mask House.
yeah,
Y'all
the
were set
Mask
up
House,
as-
right by
uh-huh.
the restaurant.
Great
yeah.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic food.
Mhm.
So let's get into that. How did y'all? Because all the story so far was still y'all were in the C word, right?
Not that.
We don't talk about it, but so y'all.
You
were,
notice how he's so being so
Yeah,
nice
the
now?
C word.
All I had to do is make a cigar for him, and I was just like,
I know,
"Oh
all of a sudden,
man,
we're
I
not
love
gonna
you.
talk about
I
that.
love you
y'all are
guys.
just so good. You're doing a good day's work."
Yeah. So
Remember that
y'all
state
were
you're
in
from?
California still when all this stuff. So
Yeah.
how did y'all get to Alvord? Because it's not void. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. So like I said, Kyle was pastoring a church at the time. I had my construction company, and we decided that, hey, we're going to make a run at this. We're really going to give it a shot, and prayed about it, talked to our spouses and everything else. And we've always been country folks, have horses and this and that
Right.
and everything else. And so I talked to my wife and I said, hey, we're really thinking about making a run at this. We kind of looked at different states, right? Pennsylvania, Florida, Montana, Texas, these different tobacco-friendly states. California, one of which is not.
No.
Really?
And
It's
that was
I
actually
can't believe that.
one of the
Go
advice.
on that for a little bit. What do you mean tobacco friendly?
Tobacco-friendly as far as taxation goes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So taxation. So when you, whether you manufacture a cigar, whether you wholesale a cigar, whether you retail a cigar,
Mhm.
Right.
it's kind of like the alcohol
Yeah.
industry. The government gets their cut
Yeah.
every step of the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so you're just trying to find a state that has the least amount of that action. So then it leaves more opportunity for margin. And so we got to talking about it and everything else, and we decided, hey, Texas is going to be the place that we're going to, headquarters it out of, and this and that and everything else. And long story short, Al and his wife and myself and my wife Carrie, we decided to come out here, and we looked around a little bit, and we found this old rundown, dilapidated farm in middle of Wise County that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
It bordered the grasslands. We have horses, wanted to have cattle and everything else, and so started doing a little bit more research and everything else, and then we prayed about it, and we said, we'll give it a year. We'll come out here, we'll cut everything, bring the kids, and we'll give it a year. And if we can make a go at it for a year, then praise God. If we can't, I'll go to the oil fields.
Oof, that's a
I'll
big commitment.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was no safety net.
I mean, you're all in at that.
we were
point.
100% in. We
Yeah.
moved out here, no exaggeration, with $2,500 in the bank. And it was just, all right, let's go. And saddle up. And we did, and then again, it was one of those things that a door after a door after a door after a door just kept opening up. And then we just fell in love with the community. We fell in love with the town, the county, the North Texas atmosphere, being in the country and everything else. Joined the volunteer fire department, there in town, and really got connected with some great local people that were just good, God-fearing, friendly people.
Yeah. So at what point did you realize you were
Risky.
beside a winery or a vineyard?
What point did we
Yeah.
realize?
So did you hook up with
Marker Sellers?
Yeah.
Marker Sellers?
Well, I knew that we were right up the street from them.
Yeah.
When we originally bought the place. And then again, those were just some great neighbors that just welcomed us to the neighborhood. They had spent some time out in California. They had kind of known, and everybody does the same thing. Why are you guys moving out here? What's your thought process? What's your political views? What's
Yeah.
How are you voting?
Yeah. And once you pass all those, and everything else,
We
then
moved
they're
out
kinda
here and
like,
Texas got redder. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Amen.
there's no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
And so, immediately we knew. And then, it was just one of those things with the conversation with Mark and Becky and everything else that they wanted to differentiate themselves on the North Texas Wine Trail and everything. And so just hanging out with them and going to their place and talking with them and so on and so forth. One thing led to another. It's very similar, like what you all do with the whiskey,
Yeah.
right? It's very similar in whiskey, in, food, in cigars and wine. You have to be able to mature your palate in whatever discipline that you're doing so that you can
Yeah.
truly enjoy the presentation of whatever, whether it's the Woodford that we had earlier or the Whistle Pig, they're different and they're unique in and of themselves.
Yeah. They're not good or bad, although we have
Well, no,
bad
some of 'em are
whiskey
really
all
good.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're unique in various ways.
And that's the art part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because taste is subjective, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I think this is great. This is my favorite. Someone else goes, I don't even like that. It's horrible, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with, coffee or whiskey or cigars or, we have cigars that have won #1 Cigar of the Year awards. Well, the people who know cigars think this is the best cigar that came out this year. And then
Yeah.
it's funny because you'll see someone smoking and they're like, oh, yeah, I smoked it. I didn't like it. You're like, okay, well, hey, you know what? You get to like whatever you want to like. It's America, man.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
if you want to
Valid.
smoke, I don't like it because I like to smoke, acid cigars. God bless.
Yeah.
Smoke them, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we put out our first cigar, which is Jamais Vu, right? It won 2 #1 Cigar of the Year awards, right? So this is a great cigar. We worked years and years on making this cigar and bringing it to market, all this stuff. Well, my uncle, his name's Buck. So I literally have an Uncle Buck, right?
Nice.
My Uncle Buck
Great movie.
great movie. Smokes cigars. So he catches wind that old nephew makes cigars, and he obviously wants some free stuff. Oh, hey, so proud of you. So hey, Uncle Buck, I'm gonna send you some free cigars, right? So I sent him some cigars, and these are very, these are strong Nicaraguan boutique cigars. This is nobody's. This is not
Yeah.
a joke, right?
This isn't playing around.
I'm playing around, right? So he gets them, and I mail them out to him. All the stuff he gets them, smokes them, and I get a phone call like 2 or 3 weeks later. Oh, hey, Uncle Buck's calling me to tell me how great this cigar is, right? So I answer the phone. Hey, Uncle Buck, what's going on, man? He goes, hey, did you smoke those cigars? What do you think? He goes, I love you, and I thought, oh, here it comes,
Uh-oh.
right?
Oh,
I
no.
love it, man. It was just a lot for me, and because he likes Drew Estate acid. That's what he smokes,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Or he smokes Tabaco Especial, or he
Favorites,
smokes
yeah.
Javas, and I'm like, hey,
That's what we started all along.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there you go. You got a little friend coming in to say
Yeah,
hi.
coming in to say hi. Give
Nice.
it the doc, make him shoot it.
No, get that away from me.
Or get it back to him. Give it back in front of Doc's face. I didn't get it on video. Oh, he just dropped it on Doc.
There he goes. There he goes.
That's what happens when your studio's out in the
How's
woods.
your triage skills, Doc?
Yeah.
You got them
I
EpiPens
hate-
handy?
Wow.
I hate scorpions.
You got them
Uh,
EpiPens handy?
Yeah.
Yeah, put him in there. We'll blow some smoke in there. See how he likes Ezra Zion.
He'll like start getting all huge.
Yeah, he'll get all big and
Yeah.
break the bottle.
Doc's like, take that.
Yeah, get some of this. Put that on video, Doc, so
I
people
mean,
can see it.
I know it's a God's creature.
It
but-
is, but it's a shitty one.
But-
Just like snakes.
They deserve
mean,
a
he should-
miserable death. I hate those
Agreed.
things. They
He
hurt.
should enjoy the cigars like we are.
Yeah.
Where do you
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
now?
We're
Yeah.
just trying to give him what we got. Sorry
Okay.
about that interruption from Scorpion. That's what happens here, though.
Well,
No, but Uncle Buck.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was saying, what are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Uncle Buck. Yeah, Uncle
was on the
Buck. He
phone.
wasn't a fan. Yeah, my uncle's not a fan because
Of-
it's not. Again,
It's just not his
taste
taste.
not subjective.
Right,
Or
yeah.
taste is
right.
subjective, so wasn't his thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. If you want to smoke acid, great. If you want to smoke Swisher Sweet, God bless. I'm just glad
Hey,
you're
whoa,
smoking.
whoa, you're going a little too far.
I'm just
there.
glad you're
Going a
smoking.
little
Hey,
too
we all
far
started
there.
somewhere.
We did.
We all started
Great
somewhere,
tip.
brother.
Great
That
tip.
was my
Thanks,
first
boy.
cigar.
Mine too.
Yeah, man, it was great. I remember that. Oh,
Give me some
Backwoods.
backwoods. Roll that
Oh,
yeah.
pouch up.
Yes.
Come
Yeah.
on.
They're
in the
amazing.
pouch.
Yeah.
don't have to put them in a humidor.
No,
right?
No,
we
just
did.
keep
We,
them in the
Right.
pouch.
we
Throw
buried
them
the
in my
fucking.
rucksack and
Buried
carried those
'em.
things for years in the core, man.
We buried them. Of course, I was like 13 when we first started getting them. We'd bury them in the creek, like in underground. So they were nice and
Hiding from our parents.
yeah, they were nice and humid by the time you got back to them.
I got a glass over here. I'll use.
Oh, okay.
That way y'all have it. I'll just
Okay,
set that
so I want to embark on chapter 4.
Hold on,
What
before
were
you
those
do that,
chapters?
Okay.
before
Yeah,
you
I
do
don't know
that,
what
I
you're
would-
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
we're already on
Let's
chapter
get a first,
4.
third review from this
This is-
cigar here.
yeah.
right
You got to
now.
pair it with the
Yeah.
whiskey. You got that's what it's
where's
for,
my
right?
whiskey?
So
there it is. Yeah,
you take a puff of the cigar, then take a little swig of the whiskey, and then just see how the flavors develop.
I'm drinking rye, so it's not really fair. Rye's not a good pairing with the cigar, I don't think.
It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Some people like it. Some people like just, smoking cigars with like a Coke or a Dr. Pepper
Mm-hmm.
to get that
Yeah.
sugar, that
That sweet.
caramel
Yeah.
Yeah.
that pairs against, that.
Well, speaking of that, before we get too deep in this, what I just found out is what goes good with cigars, which I would have never thought because I'm not that guy. Port.
Mm-hmm.
I had
Yeah,
a port the
sherry,
other day. Yeah, and
any
I was like,
fortified beverage,
"God, that's
yeah.
amazing with it."
It's a good way to finish the
Yeah.
night. Oh,
Yeah.
now I want some port.
I know, right?
We gotta get some port.
We gotta get some up here.
We got to get some port. What I wanted to ask is, we were talking about influences, and several of the names you mentioned I didn't recognize, but I recognize is it Jonathan Drew Estate?
Yeah.
And then
Jonathan Marvin.
Olivia's. I
Oliva,
recognize that.
yeah.
Oliva, yeah, I
Padron.
recognize that brand. Patron. We smoked Camachos, CAOs.
Padron.
Yeah.
Yeah, Padron. CAOs. Rocky Patel, but Drew Estate.
Rocky. Yeah.
Drew Estate was like the Tiger Woods of golf to cigars.
100%.
You really brought
Undoubtedly.
them into like the forefront of modern society. Like if you want to be big and bold, you grab a cigar.
Which is crazy to me because even at the time I thought, well, this tastes like my grandmother's perfume.
That depends on what you're smoking. You talking about acids?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had the
Yeah.
natural line.
Yeah.
And the natural line is
Ligas.
unflavored, right? It's
Right.
just blended tobacco to get those.
Natural. Then
Yeah,
Tobacco
and
Special, right?
Tobacco Special's
Uh-huh.
flavored,
Yeah.
right? It's like a coffee flavored thing.
Yeah.
But then you got your Ligas, you got your Herrera Esteliz,
Uh-huh.
you got, they're Deadwood. There's
Sure.
so many different, absolutely iconic lines. And that's
Right.
one of the things, like, going back to what we were first talking about. These guys are like rock stars to us, even still. Like, we're the ultimate cigar nerds, even still.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
we still
that's cool.
fanboy out over, Chris got a call from a cigar maker just here a few days ago that is a friend. But it's still like, how in the world? I still fanboy out the fact that we're talking to this dude. Like, that's crazy. It was just about cigar business stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Just like, how are we living this life? It's crazy to
Yeah.
us, right?
That's awesome.
Because we still like we're still young and full of wonderment, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just haven't lost that for cigars. And I know that a
That's
lot of people feel
priceless.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
about a lot of things. But if I hit, the lottery tomorrow and I had $100 million, I would still smoke cigars all day.
Yeah.
We'd still make
Yeah,
cigars.
that's what I
for
would do.
sure. We'd
Yeah.
still do it.
If you were cool, you could be like Ozzy Osbourne. I think he smoked 26 Cohibas a day in his prime.
Jeez.
That's a lot of fucking
That's a
cigars.
lot of
That's
cigars.
a lot of cigars.
That's a lot of
Chugging.
money.
Oh,
That's a lot of money.
which is
But you
back
know,
in the day when Cohiba was Cohiba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
Cohiba, not
so to
Cohiba
go back
anymore.
to the
well, there's
cigar.
Dominican now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So to go back to the cigar pairing,
Mm.
I think it tames a little bit of the rye
Yeah.
with the cigar.
I get a lot more caramel. It's talking like a Texan now.
Caramel.
I get a lot more
You'd see
caramel
that
out.
caramel.
of
That's
this,
that whiskey talking
of
about.
this-
That caramel's
Getting
good.
some
with
hints of
this.
pecan and
Oh, God.
No, we do not say pecan. I don't know where in the hell that came from, but it's wrong.
East.
Pecan.
and the alvoid.
In the East, Alvoid. So you mentioned a couple, 2 or 3 times, best cigar, rated cigars. I have that on my notes. So how do you win best cigar, and what does the rated on cigars mean? Because you'll see like a 92 rated, a 95 rated. What is that?
Well, in general sense, the ratings, the numerical rating that you're talking about is, 1 to 100.
Mhm.
And the reality is, once you start getting down into the 70s and everything else, people are pretty much not even going to listen to you.
Right.
And
Those are dog rockets.
they call them yard guards. They call
They're
them
horrible.
whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But just like with anything else, like wine, like whiskey, and everything, there's competitions. Whether it's you submit your cigars in a blind tasting or you submit your cigars in a name tasting so they know who it is, or you don't even submit your cigars and then they procure their cigars blind and then give them to the reviewers and then they review them and it goes before a panel.
So you're gonna get reviewed.
You're going to get reviewed whether you want to
Yeah.
or not want to, right? But when you're starting, obviously you want to get reviews because like Kyle said, when when we made that cigar with the intention of being the best cigar that we could possibly make.
Mm.
And it's like that for
Best cigar ever.
every cigar
Yeah.
that we make. And so we got to the point where we make the cigar and everything else. And, everybody's like, oh, hey, you're new to the industry. You're this, you're that. We're going to review your cigar,
Mhm.
whether it's Cigar Aficionado or whether it's a blogger or whether it's Halfwell or whatever the case is, you're going to get reviewed. And so, again, some of those we submitted for submission, some of those that were just done blind. And then they just started coming in. And, one of the things that Kyle used to say when we first started was, cigars because you're in
Mhm.
the cigar industry, whether it's a retailer, whether it's a cigar aficionado, whoever it is, a blogger, it doesn't matter. Don't take my word for it. Take the cigar and smoke it and tell me what you
Mhm.
think. And that's all we're asking for is just smoke it, what you think.
Yeah.
And the reviews just started coming in, and it was just amazing. And then all of a sudden you start getting, number one cigar of the year, you get these highly rated cigars in the 90s and everything else. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And Tantrum was third year, third year. And this is one of the most proudest awards that we got. And it's called a consensus. And so what this organization does is they take all the reviews from all the reviewers, whether it's big CA or down to little guy, and they put it all into this algorithm and everything else, and they churn it all up and everything, and then they say, okay, this is the consensus cigar of the year, and they rate all the different cigars. And in our third year in business, we won the consensus cigar of the year with the Ezra Zion.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And that's when I was like, oh crap. Like there's so many people that like this cigar out there
Mhm.
that when they put it all in, they came out. And I remember that phone call that we got, and I was in the middle of a meeting, so I handed my phone to Kyle, and he stepped out of the meeting, came back in. He's like, "Dude, we just took this."
We just won. He's like, was that all right? I said, dude, we just won the consensus #1 cigar of the year award. And he was
Yeah.
like, who was that? I'm like, dude, no, I'm serious,
Yeah.
man.
I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden you start getting phone calls from, Dave Savona with Cigar Aficionado and, hey, I want you guys to come out. We want you guys to sit down. We want to do an interview with you,
Oh, wow.
and all these guys. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's a big deal. And we're so humble, by
We're so
that.
humble. We're the most humble
Most
of
of
anybody,
that
probably.
people would, think
So
that
humble.
that's such a,
you sound like Trump over there.
Exactly.
I'm the
No.
most
So-
humblest of all the
so-
humble.
Ask
So-
anybody. I am the most humble.
Ask anyone.
Okay.
he's so humble.
I'm the
So
humblest
humble.
of the humble.
So that just continues.
Everybody's
on.
saying it.
Yeah, everybody
Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. And
Ask anyone.
it's just humble.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
And so now it's to the point where
Wow.
we don't even do submissions,
Yeah.
which is some people in the industry are like, well, you're not playing by the rules, you're not doing that, and everything. And at the end of the day, as long as the feedback we're getting from the consumers,
Mm.
if you're gonna work,
That's the
and
only
you're
thing
gonna
that really
spend
counts.
your hard-earned money on
Yeah.
our cigars, and you get that, and you go, this is just amazing. I mean, I would spend 2 times that. I'd spend way more than what I paid.
Mhm.
Just like when you came in and you grabbed a cigar out of the humidor and everything else, and you're like,
Mhm.
you're talking about a very inexpensive cigar, but
Right.
it's providing you an experience that, some people might be charging, $12, $15 for that.
Shit. Higher than that I've seen.
Yeah.
And from like day one, that's one of the values that we had was, we we knew it was like to buy cigars, right? We're just
Mhm.
Yeah.
cigar guys, and there's a large portion, and it continues to grow every single month, right, of the family budget that goes towards cigars. So
Yeah.
getting any free cigars, right? It was like, oh, dude, we're getting free
Yeah.
cigars because we're spending a lot of money on cigars. Right? We just
Yeah.
love cigars.
Yeah.
So when we were like, hey, we actually get an opportunity to make cigars, one of the big things, and it's still huge to us, is like these are people that trust us enough to put down hard-earned money to buy cigars. Like, and they could buy from a lot of people, but they're buying ours. That's a huge deal to us. And that I don't know, that value, that thing with us has never gone away. Like, it's still a big deal to us. It still matters to us a lot. Like, it's at the forefront of our mind all the time that people are working really hard, and it's right now harder than
Especially.
ever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
To-
real.
and then, but they're still wanting to smoke, and so and they're gonna buy our cigar. That's a huge deal. So we have got to, like, I'll just bluntly say it, we got to put out,
Mhm.
dude. We got to
Yeah.
put out. Every blend has to be better than the last one. We're never gonna phone it in. We're never gonna be, oh well, we're good. No, it's kind of like the band that, like, they scrap and they travel and they tour and they have some hits and they get acclaim and
They
then they
release
just kind of,
Saint Anger and
it's just like, meh, we're never gonna do that. Like, we just can't, because
Yeah.
it's just that thing. Like, someone's gonna, they love us and they trust us, and I don't ever want anybody to get an Ezra Zion cigar and be like, man, you guys used to be. No,
yeah.
we're not gonna used to be nothing. Every cigar has got to kick massive ass every single time. Sorry, Mom, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
Every single time it has to put out.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to us. The cigar, when you smoke it, has to put out. The artwork has to put out. Your experience, we do mostly e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
What your experience of getting that product, opening that box, and the stickers you get, the whole Ezra Zion experience needs to put out every single time.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
broached that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about cigar labeling. Because
Talk about
in the
it.
cigar world,
Yeah.
I very much feel like you can judge a book by its cover. Because you can have some labels that are, kind of mediocre. And I'm going to skip right over those. But then
A lot of people smoke the band.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
That's
it
true.
catches
Same
the
thing
eye.
with wine. Same
Yeah.
thing with whiskey, right? It's
Yeah.
100% true.
Yeah, you want to have something that if you don't know about it, coming into it, you want to have something that catches your eye that says, "Hey, we've put, can I show this one yet, or is this a?"
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
that came out a long time ago.
We want to put. Hey, there we go. We want to put time and effort into our artistry and our labeling because that reflects the product that the thing is wrapped around and the time and the
Yeah.
commitment into that too. So yeah, you absolutely can judge a book by its cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, you
And-
can. And I will tell you one thing to take it even a step further and double click into that is that early on we're like, hey, art is a big deal in this. It's part of the product
Mhm.
experience, right? But if the underlying cigar does not put out,
Mm.
right, it's the prettiest cigar that we're ever going to sell once.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've been burned by cigars, right? The label, it's
Oh
great,
yeah, all
Yep.
the time.
but then that all the effort went into the band, right?
And
Right.
not the product that
Yeah.
it's wrapped around.
And so you're like, oh, you bastard.
And you
Oh,
got
you
had,
got me. I
yeah.
feel like I got tooken, right?
Yeah.
I got taken, however you say it, right?
You got took.
I got
got
took.
took.
So
Got
it's both, right? The artwork has got to be awesome,
Mhm.
right? The name has to be intriguing. It's got to fit the profile of the cigar, but then that cigar has got to put out.
Yes.
It's got to be a home run every single time.
Yeah.
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 So, anyway, that
So,
just
so
pulls
in
my
other
trigger.
words, the heart has to be into it, like all the
Yeah.
way.
All
Well,
the
and we
way.
get asked all the time, what's your favorite cigar? Out of
Uh-huh.
all the cigars you make, what's your favorite cigar? And my answer is always the same.
Yeah.
It's the cigar I'm smoking at the moment.
Yeah. There's
And
so
the-
many good ones.
And the reason being is if I'm going to take the time to be able to, take an hour or 2 hours and smoke this product or, whether it's ours or somebody else's, it has to be able to stand up on it.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, if I take a cigar, and going back to what you were talking about earlier, Doc, hey, we come up with 6,000 ideas and only one hits. That's like what blending is for us.
Okay.
We'll blend a ton of different cigars, right? And then we'll smoke it.
Okay.
And,
I
and
gotcha.
we'll even be emotionally attached and just be like,
So
man, I
emotion-
just want this
so
to
emotionally
taste
attached.
so good.
Mhm.
You know what? It's still too young. Let's age it a little bit longer and then see how it comes out, and then eventually it's just like, no, it's just,
no, it's not going to
you,
work.
you just have to put it down.
So going a
Yeah.
little bit up, when you say blend, it's just
Yeah,
different types of leaves. Is
Yeah.
that what you mean by blend cigar?
right.
Okay.
I want to make an appeal to us rural folks. Or,
Rural.
I'm just glad you say that.
farmers,
Rural. Rural.
Mm,
ranchers, chicken rate, whatever. I mean, who don't really understand cigars or this is agriculture right here.
yeah, man.
This is 100%
Yeah.
agriculture.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, but it's time spent out on the porch with your
That too.
family members.
Yeah. That's
Right?
Yeah, I'm making a
Yeah.
broader appeal
Around the
here
fire
to like
pit.
Yeah.
somebody that's like, I don't smoke because that's the devil, whatever they talk about, in that sense. But this is your fellow farmer and rancher right here, just in a
Mhm.
different way.
Yeah.
And then back to the art. Is it? Don't is
Don't look at me, bro.
it's you, right?
Yeah.
On y'all. So I have a
Names, art,
picture, and we'll
yeah.
probably put it out when we
Oh,
post
Kyle,
post
So
it.
besides
art.
the
I came
cigar
in.
label, right?
Heath wasn't done talking.
No,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
we'll just
Yeah,
go
it's-
ahead,
it's,
dog. It's
yeah.
all you, bro.
I thought that's
Just
where you're going.
take off with it, bro. Yeah, just go. Whatever you want to talk about.
Is there a class we can send him to?
I think
I'll be glad to
something
donate.
happened. He's got worse.
I know.
Like all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's just like
Doc, do you need to
breaking in.
read verbal judo? 'Cause I
Yeah.
read that a couple times at the
Yeah.
request of
It's
some people I
right in
love.
this is
Yeah.
the second podcast in a row. Like
It's-
right in the middle of a question,
Yep.
he's just
Yeah.
like,
It's called taking your opponent off guard.
I guess
Is
so.
that
I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be your opponent, you dickhead.
Yeah, we're whiskey bros.
Yeah,
When you're
we're-
rolling,
yeah.
when you're
Whiskey
rolling in-
Bros,
I
not
know.
whiskey.
I
Jeez.
love
I
you,
can't
bro.
Whiskey foes. here.
Whiskey foes.
I'm the Whiskey Foes podcast
Whiskey
tonight.
sparring.
When
Yeah.
Doc's on the mat for jujitsu, he just reaches up and just squeezes your junk.
Yeah.
I was just
Exactly
catching you off
right.
guard, like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
you know.
So back to my question. Isn't all the art are you the one that do all the artwork?
Yep.
Is that correct? I
Yeah.
thought that's what we said.
Yeah.
So
There's been through the years. There's been a few art pieces that we've worked with other artists and licensed or kind of thing, whatever. Because I just thought they were so amazing, right?
right.
And it's been cool because with that we've been able to develop really good relationships with very good people. But by and large, 99% everything that's all in house, man. Again, it's
Yeah.
part of the creative process of and like when you smoke the cigar, right? You're looking at it. It's the whole entire thing to me is just a giant piece of art.
Yeah.
The blend is a piece of art. Again, subjective. Some people look at a painting and go, "I hate it." Some people are like, "I love it." Right? Subjective. But the blend is art. The
Mm.
band is art. The artwork, the name of it, that kind of stuff.
That's a great
it's fun,
way
man.
to talk
Yeah.
about a cigar. I've never even thought about that, but
Yeah.
that's pretty true though. It's
Well, and let's be
subjective.
honest. I mean, the vast majority of the consumers of our product are men, right?
Mm.
Dudes are visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we want to
Yeah.
look at something that's appealing. We want to be able to have something that grabs our attention and and maintains that.
But
That's
I'm a little
so what
surprised
you're
at the
saying is
amount-
this is a nice set of tits.
I mean, hey,
I think that's what
Thank
you're saying.
That's your art.
But I'm surprised to see the amount of women that are actually into cigars too.
There's
I mean,
a lot
we follow,
more.
follow a
Yeah.
few.
Yeah.
I've
As
seen
time
people
goes on.
into your shop and your cigar bar, and I've
That's
also
great.
seen on Instagram pages. Like we follow a few cigar pages, and lots of women in that industry now.
Yeah.
I think most of that stuff
Awesome.
online though is selling point.
Probably so.
Because if you got a ugly looking bald headed bearded dude like me,
hey,
smoking
buy my
cigar,
shit, bro.
Hey, you really need to try this. But then you got some really smoking hot chick saying you really need to try this.
Y'all need to find the skinny Russian chick that does the. Have y'all seen it like the?
Oh, what do you call that?
I don't know. ASMR.
Yeah.
She does that, and you need to find her. She comes up and is like,
No,
Ezra
'cause-
Zion.
Well, this is and which I don't think you are on TikTok.
We
and
just
stuff,
have Chris
but-
do that.
Yeah,
There
but
you go.
but there's a lot of people.
Try it, Chris.
It's called duetting. I think your videos. There's a lot of people making fun of her, but she says something like, she does what? She gets real close to the mic and she's like Mercedes, and then you'll have this just random dude eating SpaghettiOs, and he'll be like SpaghettiOs.
Okay, so now back to my question.
Oh yeah, it's important.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
let's
did
get back
Doc have
to
a
Doc.
question?
Yeah, let's get back
He's
to
been
Doc.
sitting here
Jeez.
stewing on it for
That's
the
what,
past
yeah,
5
you
minutes.
notice he hasn't talked
Yeah.
since
Read
then.
a
'cause
book.
Can't
he-
forget this.
So besides the art, and
How's the
label-
weather going today?
Yeah, I think it's nice.
I mean, it's pretty
Cold
nice
outside,
outside
yeah.
right now. I'm
You
really
guys got
enjoying
anything
this.
you want to talk about?
Oh,
Really
yeah.
enjoying this time of year.
Touche. Besides the art on the label and the art in the cigar, it's like what other art? Like you said, art piece. Okay, so is this the art piece?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you know what goes into blending a cigar, right?
I
That
don't
cigar-
know what goes
okay,
into
so
blending a
Yeah,
cigar.
so by the time you
Oof.
get to just the entire tobacco process, right? By the time that cigar, gets in your hands and you're smoking it,
Yeah.
literally 300 sets of hands have touched that tobacco, right? From the time that the seed gets planted, it's a huge laborious process. So, like he was saying, right? Agriculture. It is. It's an
100%
agricultural,
handmade
100%
product.
handmade all the way through, and at every stage it can be messed up. So if the harvest gets messed up or doesn't get watered right, or the climate, you have a crop failure, or after that gets harvested, if it's not aged in the aging barns right, or if it doesn't get fermented right, or if you have great tobacco and you make a horrible blend, or if the blend is great and it's the greatest cigar ever, it's an awesome padron and it
Yeah.
doesn't get humidified right and it dries out. It's like it can get ruined, or you can cut it wrong, you could smoke it wrong, you could light it wrong. Like it can get jacked up like 10,000 different ways, right?
Mm.
So the cigar and the tobacco itself, that is a piece of art, right? That got created because someone took individual leaves and in an artistic way. There's no recipe book that, well, I mean, there is once you create it, but there's no book that says this has to go with this. It's not science, right?
Yeah.
It's art. It's, I think this tastes good with this. It's a recipe, right?
Yeah, it's a
How many different
super
kind of,
valid point.
Yeah.
It is.
so how many
Yeah.
different kind of chocolate cake recipes are there, right? And grandma's got this recipe and this recipe. Yeah, it's art. So that part of it is art. But then when you come up with a name for something and it gives you an idea, it gives a character to that particular blend, right? If it's a mamacita, right? It gives a certain inflection to that blend that you're now is in your mind, right?
Yeah.
No, honestly, it's in your mind. But you're smoking and experiencing those flavors of that cigar through that filter, I guess, through that lens now. And then you have the artwork with it, and it's like, why did that cigar get named that with that particular, art and everything else? Well, because like when I smoked that cigar, like that's what it is to me. It's this badass friggin' it's full bodied, it's strong, it's just this
And that story is
Yeah.
presented with each cigar.
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
whole art piece put together that you get to
Wow,
experience when you
that's
smoke it.
deep.
That's how I think about it. I know that's pretty cigar nerd, but that's just who we are.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
like
that's
it.
that's super deep, and it's so individualistic. It's I've only ever thought about. I mean, yes, I've thought about like cigar and how does it taste and how does it pair with whiskey, all that aspect. But I would say I've been fairly limited in that aspect, and it was all about just the socialization of the cigar itself, and so it seems like you're adding like even depth to what my own experience has been,
Yeah, that's cool.
which has been very much about other people, but no, it's about the experience as well.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
just it's a continual deeper appreciation, right,
Mhm.
for the product. So if you go to Woodford and you talk to the fine people over
Good
here,
luck.
I'm just kidding.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
If you go out to the winery at Marker Cellars, right?
Yeah,
and
there you go.
Yeah.
Get a tour, right? And Mark takes you around and you're, sampling different wines and different things and he's explaining to you.
You're probably going to be crying by the end of that tour.
Exactly,
but
right?
yes.
But your
100%.
appreciation for when that bottle of wine is presented to you, right? Or you're
Mhm.
opening
right.
that, with your wife or whatever, you're enjoying that wine. Like your experience with that is so heightened now.
Yeah.
Rather than like
Right.
I went to the grocery store and I got some wine.
Mhm.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So it's the same sort of thing.
It's not a memorable experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the meaning of it is like, oh, it's like right in the feels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and in today's world, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Right.
little more
I mean,
quality
it's
time.
like why you decided to stop the corporate
Yeah.
doctrine
Yeah.
and you went into the boutique doctrine.
Yeah.
Right. It's to be able to provide an experience that's beyond just the, simple act of commerce.
Yeah, come and
You
get your medication. Go home.
Come and get it, get home and everything else. And it's no different. We all started somewhere, we make fun of Swisher Sweets, we make fun of White Owls, and Dutch Brothers. We all started somewhere,
Right.
right?
Yep.
But if we can provide that experience to our consumers, whether they're in the lounge or whether they're at home, whether it's a Nomad branded cigar, an Ezra Zion cigar, Cigar Federation, whatever cigar that we make to them, it just gives them that experience to be able to go along with it.
Mm.
And that's
Yeah.
what we hope it happens, right? We hope it doesn't just become, oh, you just bought the cigar, you put it in your mouth, and you went and baled, 200 bales of hay, and you forgot
Right.
about what you were doing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I don't want that. I want you to take a minute
Yeah.
and hear about what's going on, and
Yeah. Nobody enjoyed a cigar on a golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some great, I don't play good golf, but I can smoke some good cigars.
Yeah.
Be conscientious of
Yeah.
what's going on around you.
Exactly. And even to the artwork, and everything else, we have a line of cigars called Blessed Leaf,
Mhm.
right? And, we've already said that we're believers. We already said that, but that allows us an opportunity to be able to present something to somebody that causes somebody to just think, ask
Yeah.
a question. What is, why do you call it Blessed Leaf? Why do you have, angels, stars, the shield? Why do you have that stuff going on to it? And it provides an opportunity to be able to have a conversation, whether it's a Blessed Leaf cigar or an Ezra Zion cigar,
Yeah.
just engage in that conversation. Take the time. We don't take time for ourselves,
Mhm.
In today's world.
I think that's super true.
Um,
It's like of all things, just taking the time to sit out and smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
I mean,
that is the mantra of the Whiskey Bros.
yeah.
And add whiskey into that equation too. But branching onto that, this on top of this being a very special treat. And
Yep.
thank y'all very much. I mean, this really does mean a lot
It
to
does.
us. It really,
Yeah.
really does.
We're smoking in the studio. I'm telling you, it means a lot.
This will
It
never
means
happen.
a lot
This
to
will
me.
never happen again in here. I mean,
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
I've
fantastic.
already looked at the ozone thing on Amazon. It might.
Did you? I told him about I told him about your ozone thing that you use.
That's a good piece of gear, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, well,
Yeah,
I
that'll-
mean,
that'll
it's
do
something about smoking a cigar while we're sitting here yakking.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
anyways,
Valid.
this is a really good cigar, and
It
it is
is.
very multi-dimensional. You start up, you get the light draw, the easy, I'm almost like a vanilla pudding type thing,
Yep.
and then it ended up into kind of had a bite, a peppery-ishness, if you will,
Mhm.
and now it's really smooth back out, and it's very dynamic.
Awesome.
Good to
it's
hear.
a
100%.
great smoke.
Glad y'all are enjoying it.
And on what he said, an easy pull. So like
If you're a normal, hardworking, everyday American and find your shits are only rated 1 star, well, let me tell you how to up your game to a 5-star shit. Autron Till's the answer for you. Feel free to skip this ad if you want, but you won't be skipping the bathroom if you do. We're just telling you how our guts cope with the abuse we hand them on a daily basis. You've heard Dr. Brown and Eric Rieger talk about 5-star shits on this show, so let's talk about Autron Till. Autron Till is created by Dr. Brown as an easy hack for a healthy gut. It's the only over-the-counter product proven to stop bloating and symptoms associated with IBS. These are all natural polyphenols and non-GMO. Anyone suffering should try the 630 plan. What is the 630 plan, you might ask? That's 6 capsules a day for 30 days. And if you're not having 5-star shits by the end of 30 days, you can get your money back. Click in the show notes and enjoy a minimum of 15% off. Or go to autrontil.com and use the keyword Whiskey Bros at checkout.
that will, I don't know, I could be a pussy, I don't know, but that will sell or turn me away from a cigar when I grab a hold of it and I like gotta yank on it to get.
Yeah,
Pull.
super tight draw.
Can
Yeah.
you explain the
Or you don't want one that's just like
Too open.
too open.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it screams
draw,
like
open draw.
I'm a
Yeah.
cheapo or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you go into why some cigars or you have to like yank on them for 3 hours to get anything out of
There's
it?
a joke there, but I'll just leave
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
Bring it on, dude.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like Kyle was talking about, when you're making a cigar, right? It's not an exact science,
Mhm.
but it is a little bit, right? Because when you end up picking all your different filler and you know what binder you're going to use and what wrapper, obviously you have to count the oh,
See that? Did you see that?
you have to count
cut
the
off.
You
cost
got to be a
before
pro to
that.
do that.
So when the folks are over there and they're rolling the cigars and everything else, they're actually, weighing out how many leaves they have and this is how many cigars you have and this and that and how you roll that cigar. We use what's called intuvo rolling. So you actually take that leaf and you roll it into like a tube, like a straw.
Mhm.
Some people, they do the accordion where they just fold it over.
And there's
then
a
they
Spanish
bunch it.
word for that, but we can never get it right, so we just call it the accordion.
Yeah, and we just call it the accordion.
Those gringos.
And
We have a guy.
And then there's
We
some
need to make
other
a phone
there's some
call.
other people that just grab it and they just crunch it together, But being able to take the time to roll in tubo, hat tip Jonathan Drew and Marvin Samuel that originally when they were starting to talk to us about that, they're like, listen, you got to make sure quality, right? Quality all the way through. Don't buy the best tobacco and then just have some crap ass rollers destroy your tobacco.
Yep.
We use Intubo. That's what I recommend. And everybody that we worked with, now uses that and everything for our cigars and theirs. And so what'll happen, you can get a cigar that's made by maybe a newbie, right? Because everybody's got to learn.
Yeah.
And so they'll
Yeah.
have the back of the factory where they're teaching the FNGs, how to roll and this and that and everything else. And it's going to be too loose
Mhm.
or it's going to be too tight. So when they put it in the press, they put too much tobacco into it. And then it's just like with anything, it's just super, super dense. It's just clogging that airflow up. Now they make spires and spikes that you can, ram
Yeah.
the cigar and
They're
everything
meh.
else. If even, and it happens, that's why we do quality control in the cigars. If we get one of those cigars and we get a bundle of those and we can pretty much figure out what happened there, but we'll pull that from our production so that it doesn't go out to the consumers. But what's happening when you get something that's a super tight draw or a super loose draw, it's just the manufacturing. It's the couples that actually bunch the tobacco and then press the tobacco. It's either overfilled or underfilled. That's what's happening.
Yeah, and the other part is that you got people sitting in factories all day, right?
Right.
And it's human hands doing it
Oh,
on
yeah.
a premium cigar.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they get tired, right?
Yeah.
So The fill can be one way or the other. So one of the things we do, I'll give a little proprietary information. Nobody steal this, right? Every cigar we know to the gram how much it should weigh, ideally to be ideally filled, and so every cigar gets weighed, not just draw tested. So we know that if it's under, it's 2 grams light. I mean, you're gonna have an open draw. There's no question, right?
Yeah.
Or 2 grams too much, or it's gonna be too tight. So it's not that they're trying to do it wrong. It's either they don't know what they're doing or they're just really tired because it's a handmade product.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
art.
And they can have a cigar that's, even though it's the right weight, maybe they folded the tobacco leaf inside of it. So then, like Kyle was saying, there's actually machines. There's called a draw master machine. So you take the cigar in the factory and they put it on the end of this machine, and it pulls air through the cigar, and it gives you, how much pressure it takes to actually pull it through.
Oh, wow.
So it might actually meet weight, but when you pull it through there, maybe a tobacco leaf got folded somewhere. It's, plugged the cigar, and it'll, theoretically it's supposed to be taken out of production.
Okay.
But you got to keep up on everything.
What about pipe tobacco? Y'all thought about entering into that?
Oof.
Have you ever
Yes.
had a cigar used where they use pipe tobacco?
So I'm going to tell you something that's crazy. I'm a little bit out there. All right. I have a tobacco shredder. So you can actually shred your own tobacco. You can, it's a little small desktop and everything else. And
that takes a powerful shredder, right?
yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
it's a particular shredder that is just meant for tobacco, and it's meant for those that want to create their own pipe blends, because you can actually buy leaf tobacco, or you could buy different batches of tobacco, and you could shred it up and everything else. But one of the crazy things that I like to do every now and again, because I enjoy a good pipe.
Yeah.
You ask my daughters, and they're like, they love daddy smoking tobacco, smoking cigars. While they're in the arena and I'm sitting on the rail or whatever the case is, but they really love it when I'm smoking a pipe
Yep.
because it's so aromatic, right?
Yeah.
But I'll actually take some of our cigars, run it through the shredder, and then smoke it in my pipe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like if they're too tight and you can't get a draw, or
Can't
they're
get a draw,
cracked, they got
Yeah,
damage,
they
you
throw
just
those in
shred
the
them up
shredder.
and smoke them in a
Yeah.
pipe. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way
you
you're not
can
wasting.
do that, yeah.
Nice.
And it's fun. But to answer your question, we did dabble in that, a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, and it's better to stick in your wheelhouse,
Yeah.
Right.
and do what you're good at,
Mhm.
and leave that to those that do good at that,
Okay.
Right.
because there's some fantastic pipe tobacco
Yeah.
out there.
There
You
is.
Are y'all's cigars for sale in Weatherford?
yeah, on the square in
Yeah.
Weatherford,
That's got
not anymore.
Really?
Yeah, not anymore.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Well, we have a funny story about some pipe tobacco. If you know the guy that runs the store in Weatherford,
If you know the guy,
and-
you know the guy.
yeah, and we found pipe tobacco that we liked, and we smoked it. I bought it,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Holy God, this is good,
Yeah.
really good." Where'd you get it from? I'm like, just go to Weatherford. You'll know the guy when you see him. Ask him about the yellow tin of
Yep.
pipe tobacco, and he'll know. And it's sure he texted me. He's like, "Yep, I knew the guy you
Knew
were
the guy
talking
as soon as I
about."
seen him.
So-
As soon as I
Yeah.
seen him.
I'll just say he has a cat, and
Yeah.
he.
He may be
Are
looking
y'all
at
fans
you.
of James Bond? He'd make
Sure.
a great 007 villain.
Villain, yeah.
hey, as
what
long
are-
as he knows his pipe tobacco.
He knows his
he's-
pipe
yeah,
tobacco.
It is good, but it's weird because like I don't like flavored cigars anymore. Like I said, we started out with acid toast and stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'll go back and get one. Like I got a Fat Bottom Betty, which that's still I don't understand how that's non infused
Mm-hmm.
because that's extremely sweet cigar. But I don't tend to go that route anymore. But
Oh,
are we seeing somebody?
yeah.
Do we have
It's my.
do we have guests?
We do. It's my wife and my daughter.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
yeah. What? Come on in.
He's like, "Whoa, Mom,
Yeah,
this smells
cutie
funny in
patootie.
It
here."
smells bad.
Yep, this is my wife Sarah, and this is my 10-month-old daughter Cora.
Yeah.
Hello.
I had the picture I was going to show y'all. She was the one out front of your establishment last night playing
Hanging
in the
with the
lights.
light.
Playing
yeah.
in the lights.
Look
Yeah.
at that. She loved it. Hi, sweetie. Hi, baby. Oh, we're tired.
Yeah, it's
We are
bedtime.
tired.
So,
But- No, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead.
No,
we
you
all
go
know.
ahead.
You go ahead.
He's gonna go whether you want him to or not.
He's going anyway, so
He's
go
going.
ahead.
I wanted to get on to chapter 4. So chapter 4 for me was like I remember a
What was
time.
chapter 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I think we,
We
skipped
talked
a few
about it.
chapters.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, we covered it. Listen to the podcast, bro.
I don't ever do that.
Oh, okay. The so I remember a time within, say, like, I don't know, year, you know, pretty much everybody drank the same 5 beers all the time. You'd go over to this guy's house, it might be this beer. You'd go over to this guy's house, it'd be this beer. And then that industry sort of transformed, and you were like, oh wait, there's this like beer down in Fort Worth, and then a lot of beers from Colorado, and we kind of went through like the microbrew phase. And I would say that we're kind of post microbrew phase, but are we sort of seeing the same thing within the cigar industry? You know, it's like back in the 80s, everybody kind of smoked the same big 5 brand cigars, and then the 90s and then the 2000s happened, and it was like Drew Estate, CAO, you know, you had Cigar International and cigar.com, and they kind of brought like new emerging things, and now we're kind of post that phase, and we're starting to see like the microbrew phase of cigars where you're getting some really good stuff out of smaller manufacturers. Are we kind of like that with regards to cigars now? I don't know. What would you say?
I would say, yeah, there's some analogous properties to that, like, you know, characteristics that are the same. I think you saw a cigar renaissance, if I could use that word.
It's a great word.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big word. Yeah. Cigar renaissance.
The best words.
I have the best words.
The best words.
Yeah. Driven by media, actually, right? So the first cigar boom, what they called it back then, was when Cigar Aficionado magazine came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of a sudden now it's cool to smoke cigars, right?
Yeah,
They went
you had
mainstream.
big hitters on that. I remember a specific issue with Stallone on it. And
Yeah,
was like,
Stallone.
Rush was on it, right? To start it
Rush was
off.
on
Right?
Rush.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I bought that and hung it on my wall with Rush. I framed it, right? Amazing. So Cigar Aficionado really launched that boom where people became more aware of cigars. It wasn't just, you know, grandpa smoking, you know, his brand, his one brand he smoked, right, on the porch or whatever. And it was like, oh, this is, you know, I'm seeing celebrities smoke cigars. Oh, let me try that, right? And I know Chris started smoking cigars before I did because he's a little older than me. But
throw him under the bus.
no, not under the bus. But he can tell you, right, that, you know, he started to get into cigars right when that started to emerge. Cigar events, that was just barely becoming a thing. Rocky Patel kind of spearheaded that, but those kind of things were popping up, and it was largely driven by media, by Cigar Aficionado. So once social media came online, you had Twitter, you had things like that, you know, Facebook, and, you know, it was beyond just MySpace and everything else. Instagram came on. You started to see a second cigar boom driven by media. So now it's accessible. You can go on to Instagram and you can see every boutique cigar maker, right, like us, posting stuff and making great artisan type cigars. Yeah. So if you can get the tobacco, so that leads to another set of problems now, where, you know, good tobacco is now very hard to find. So you get a lot of guys who are now coming.
Shortage.
Well, there's only so much.
Is that just?
Yeah.
So there's only so much.
We're getting into the weeds on the business part. So it's frustrating because you have on one hand, hey, it's America, hey, entrepreneur, hey, go out and do your stuff. It's great, but there's only so much farmland, right? There are only so many people who have the expertise to grow tobacco.
And tobacco's not just going to grow everywhere.
It doesn't grow everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So there's no there's no factory grown tobacco out there right now.
Well, there's a lot of people growing tobacco, but the demand for tobacco it keeps growing because more people say, oh, let's start a brand, let's start a whatever. More people are smoking cigars. People see it now on social media and go, oh, wow. Instead of having to go get a magazine to be like, oh, this is cool, I want to smoke cigars. Now they're Instagram, or they have a friend who posts something and they, oh, wow. Right. So that part of it's great. But now the competition you can get tobacco, but to get good tobacco, it's different. You know what I mean? So that's
like
kind
in
of
the 80s with cocaine.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So
good versus
yeah. You were at least 5 and 6 years old in the mid 80s. You're a connoisseur.
That's right.
Daddy said I need to work 24 hours a day.
Yeah, for some reason, I started working way too early.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's having to be creative on the growing side and be creative, and actually knowing people who have good tobacco, just different innovative ways of being more efficient. Again, that's capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Got to figure out the most efficient way to do it. The guys who do will thrive. The guys who don't, that aren't working as hard or don't have the skill set or don't have the connections, their product's mediocre. It doesn't sell, it's not as good, and they end up, going away. That's just how it is, right? So, yeah.
Well, and in addition to that, back then it was the wild, wild west. There was no regulation.
Yeah.
And so anybody could get into the industry as long as they had a connection, they took the time, took the effort, they could get into it. And what a lot of people don't know is we literally are just coming out of a huge regulation oppression that has been going on. And during the Obama administration, he tasked the FDA to regulate cigars along with all the other OTP products,
Really?
other
Yeah, we
tobacco
got lumped
products.
in, like you were saying.
So we got
Yeah.
lumped in exactly, with the chewing
So
tobacco,
why-
with the cigarettes,
why
with the
was
this and
that?
that. It's because, well, I mean,
It
Why
makes-
is
it's-
Obama?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Yeah,
it,
right.
well, it makes it easier on their end to regulate everybody
Tobacco.
instead of
Yeah.
giving it tiers to different products.
and
it's
just like cigarettes,
It's
right?
pure
Because
government laziness, is what it is.
they can control the industry, right?
Yeah.
And it's how many new cigarettes? Sorry, I'll let you come back in. But how many new cigarettes have you seen launched on the market?
exactly.
None. So
Right.
who's that
Right.
good? Who's that good for? If I'm Marlboro, I'm psyched, or
Yeah.
whoever
Yeah.
owns them,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Whatever
Yeah.
conglomerate.
Big tobacco.
Right, China.
Exactly, big. You're
That's-
excited,
that's
right?
valid,
You want that.
right?
So same thing with cigars. You see a bunch of boutique guys come up that
Yeah.
are starting to take huge market share,
Mhm.
and maybe you don't like that. Maybe make some phone calls. That's what I think happened. But I got the tinfoil hat on. But I just see what happened with cigarettes, and you get big tobacco that goes, "Hey, I have these iconic brands. I have these whatever," and now this Johnny Come Lately is coming and taking significant market share from me. I want these guys shut down. So
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
think happened. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, and it took years and years for us. I mean, we had federal lawsuits against the government. Kyle and I would go out to DC. We'd lobby this is back when Mac Thornberry was our representative. He didn't even know that there was a North Texas cigar manufacturer in his district
Wow.
Mm.
until he came out to our ranch in
Yeah.
Alvord, and we showed him, and just meeting with different representatives, different state representatives, different federal representatives, federal senators and everything else, and going out there and doing it, and just tons and tons of money going into this lawsuit and everything else, and just recently adjudicated in our favor.
Good deal.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we may or may not have a certain representative coming on this podcast. Is there anything you'd like to?
No,
Or
as
is
far as the
everything
state
go-
of
is
as
everything
far as
good right
the
now?
state of Texas goes, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We
The
just need
FDA
a
is
few casinos, for people to smoke your product in.
Well, I mean, hey, the more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
I mean, one of the things that we're finding in as far as state and local goes is more and more restriction of where you can enjoy your tobacco product, right?
Okay. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
where we live up here, it's really nice. Hey, keep it out of the schools.
Right.
Keep
Everybody
away-
agrees with that, of course.
Keep
Keep
it
it out of the
yeah.
surgery room.
Keep it out of the surgery room. Keep it out of the little
It's a good
parks. You got
thing.
little Johnny and little Susie wanting to, go and everything else.
Right.
Give them their space, give them their clean air and all that other stuff, right? Which is fantastic. But there's no regulations that said that you can't enjoy a cigar on the square in Decatur, right?
Mm.
And that's freeing because there are regulations in North Texas in certain communities
Oh yeah.
where you
Wow.
cannot have a cigar.
There's a certain city pretty close to us, isn't it?
There's several cities that are,
Okay.
the Metroplex is riddled with them.
Yeah.
You go down there and
It's all these people moving from California is what it is.
Jeez,
Ah,
California.
Bunch of lefties.
So the FDA is actually appealing the law, Judge Mehta, his ruling and everything else. So
I smell
fights
something
back
burning. The
Um,
box is not on fire, is it?
Nah, it's just
That's
it's the
funny.
scorpion probably.
No, I think I accidentally ashed on this cork.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
like-
what he did.
Yeah.
Something's
Sorry.
not cigar smoke.
Pass me the bottle of
Some
A
doom.
Doom.
bottle of
Thanks.
doom.
The
bottle of doom.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I won't be against another whiskey.
All right, yeah. What do you want, man? We got plenty.
Oh
Hey.
yeah. Yeah.
Surprise me.
All right.
Ooh,
Okay.
give them some blood oath. Give them some good stuff.
Yeah, surprise
Give
me.
them some good stuff.
So to your point, Doc, I think we're actually on the cusp of being able to get back to how it was back in the day, because right
Yeah.
now we're no longer being lumped in with all those other tobacco products as far as regulations goes. And I think that's fantastic. But also to Kyle's point, that's one of the things that it's a love-hate, right? You love seeing new products come out, but you also hate the competition because
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
all fighting over the very finite amount of good tobacco that's out there.
Right. Right.
Fortunately, we have fantastic relationships with our growers, with the different tobacco suppliers, with the different manufacturers or factories that we, co-op and everything else.
Thank you.
And so we're pretty set and we're pretty solid. But I mean, we're all for trying different stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
pass the blood oath on around.
So-
Oh, he's passing it around.
So to bring it full circle, how many workers do you have in your pipeline?
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of get into a little bit because, like, Trinity Street, I know their big thing is seed to cup.
Mhm.
So they own I think they own farms now. So they have control from as soon as the coffee plant is grown all the way till they serve you in Decatur, Texas. Is that how you guys, or how does that work? Do you own any farms? Do you buy your plants from? How does all that work? If you can get into any of that.
No, sure. No, we don't. Again, it's very relationship, and we also, it goes back to do what you do best and leave that to the
Yeah.
experts that do best. We have relationships with what we consider the best tobacco growers, the best farmers, and tobacco suppliers that can actually find the tobacco for us, so that we can focus on what we do really well, and they can focus on finding those tobaccos for us. So the long answer is no, we don't own the fields. No, we don't own the factories. We have relationships with those that actually grow it and age it, whether they're fermenting it and so on and so forth. And then, like I said, we co-op with the factories. So when they're running our stuff, they're just running our tobacco.
Okay.
In that. And we bring it up here and turn it loose.
Make some magic happen.
Make it
Well,
happen.
I'll tell you a little secret on that, right? Because I've had a
Oh,
couple
crap.
of whiskeys.
Uh-oh.
So
Yeah, here we
here's,
go.
here's what we figured out, right?
Edit.
We're now you're getting down to the goods. Early on, it was like, okay, well, how much do we want to be in this, right? Do we want to live in Nicaragua? Do we
Right.
want to, a wife and kids? We traveled a lot. Thanks, dude. And it was like even just the traveling to promote the brand became too much, right? And it literally came to a point where it was like, we sat down one day and it was like, we got into cigars because we love cigars.
Right.
And dude, I hate this now.
Yeah.
I got a wife and little kids at home. You got a wife and little kids at home, and we're FaceTiming them every night. The kids are crying. And it's like this is just not working, right?
Yeah.
So that was just traveling around the United States promoting the brand at different shops and doing events and stuff like that. So when we looked at, okay, do we want to grow? Do we want to invest in fields? Do we want to? Well, we don't have the expertise to do that. So we're literally going to have to live here and learn how to grow tobacco. Because again, there's a difference between tobacco and good tobacco, right? And it can get messed up so easy. So what we found, and I really kind of made the decision
nice.
for us,
Yeah, that's
was
good.
you look at these guys who grow their own tobacco and they have their own factories, and they say, "Oh, I'm vertically integrated. I'm awesome." Well, here's the problem with that is that if you have a nasty crop, you're stuck with it, right? Now you have to make cigars with it because you just got to get rid of it. You got to turn product, right? That's true for coffee. It's true for tobacco. It's true for wine, right? You have you have a vineyard, right? And your vintage
It's a
or your whatever
crappy
this
year.
year sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to do something with it, right? Because you
Right.
got all that money and all that time and everything else invested. And we thought, you know what? It's better for us, smarter for us we work with about half a dozen different factories at any given time, right? Because his brilliant idea, right, of being hitched, of not letting one factory just own us and control us
Right.
and squeeze our nuts whenever they want to raise our price or change the tobacco, and we're just stuck. So we started that early on, and then it was we can cherry pick if we're smart. We have the relationships, right? Cherry pick the best tobacco, and so we spent our time and energy and money and a whole lot of liquor, actually, getting in good with people.
It helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
Literally, it helps, right?
I mean, we got you guys on.
That's it helps.
Amen.
It helps. Our time's better spent forging relationships with people who are expert at what they do, and let them do what they do, and then we can cherry pick all the best stuff instead of putting time, energy, effort into learning something from square one. And we're Dos Gringos. I don't know. I know. I can taste good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Blend good cigar. I could make something that's I want this, and this is the stuff that I like. I don't want to have to be like, oh wow, let me look at the soil. Oh, the nitrogen is. I don't want to do math.
Right.
I don't want to do chemistry.
You hired
Man,
the
I
guy
want to
for
make
that.
cigars, right?
Exactly.
So we're not vertically integrated, and proudly so. So
Yeah.
that's the story behind that.
So on the whole blending and everything, so like I follow you guys on Facebook. Every once in a while, I'll see a random photo of, oh, dude, we're trying out this new blend, and
Yep.
it's just a picture of some dude's handing a cigar.
Yeah, it's my hand. I'm a hand model, dude.
Okay, so when
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that.
hand
Look at that
model.
hand. I have the best
Look at that
hands.
hand.
I have the best
the
hands.
best hand. That's what everybody said.
They're really small and soft.
I
guys,
walked.
let's
I
be
walked
honest.
into that one. Sorry.
Hey,
I apologize to myself.
Hey, there was a certain was it a country western singer that said about the small hands. It makes everything look bigger. I think it was. So,
You got me,
That's-
man.
that's what I got.
You got me. I don't know.
so when you're doing that, listen to that sound.
That's a serious lighter.
It is, boy. That's a torch.
I ain't gonna mess around.
Nah.
Keep it away from the microphone.
Yeah.
It just cost you guys $1,000. My God.
So when y'all have those blends, is that what you're doing? Is you've I guess you've got somebody to make that cigar, and I guess you've told them, I want to try this blend,
Mhm.
and then they ship you out a sample.
It's shipped,
Wow.
or something we do here. We're real
Yeah.
cagey about that part of it because
Okay.
one thing also we did find out is that everybody's watching and everybody wants to rip you off.
Right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got to, and then you
They'll
can't
rip you
trademark
off
a
in a
cigar
heartbeat.
blend or
Yeah.
trademark a relationship with somebody, and people will buy tobacco out from underneath of you. I mean, just anything, dude. Someone is always trying to stick it in you.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
the
horrible. It's
unfortunate
true.
side effect of good capitalism. Is at any given moment you can get
So
totally
you just-
fucked. Somebody is
exactly.
out there to give it to you, and they don't give a fuck.
They do
right?
not
They-
care,
We
right.
literally have a line item for legal, and there's a reason
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, so we do stuff, and like I said, a few different factories, some here in Texas, but again, we're pretty cagey about how and why we, or not why, but how and the way that
Where.
we do stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and where, because yeah, we just got it. We've been burned a lot of times, right?
Right.
So yes, so when we get a product, that's
Mhm.
something that we feel confident after blending, right, with raw leaves and all that other stuff. This is probably going to be pretty awesome.
Right.
So let's sample these out. Let's roll some, and then you got to let them age, right? Once a cigar is rolled, we call it cigar puberty, but it goes through another 90-day process, and during that process it re-ferments, and it tastes horrible.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
literally every cigar we do, Chris will tell you, I freak out. I'm like, we suck at making cigars. This cigar tastes terrible. He's like, dude, this has been rolled for 4 weeks. I'm like, no, it's just
Right.
horrible, and it tastes terrible, and now we suck, and everyone's gonna say we suck. He's like, just let it sit for 2 more months, and
Yeah.
then 2 more months later,
Let those tobaccos really marry together in
Yeah.
that cigar.
yeah, and then it's like night and day, like almost.
Man, that's the art coming into it right there.
It is, but I
Exactly.
freak
Yeah.
out, right? I
Yeah.
freak, and he has to like talk me off the ledge. And then so that's what like we grab those on the way through the office, right? And I'm like, hey, look, we gotta try these or whatever. So when you're seeing those posts, it's us smoking through something, being like, is this good? And is it? If it is, then is it ready?
Mm.
So that's what those are.
So where I was getting with that was two things. All your I don't know what y'all call it, but when you walk into the cigar bar,
Mhm.
the humidor straight in front, where you have all your new
House
release
blends.
stuff, your house is
Yeah.
that what
Or
your house
a
blends?
house cigars.
House blends and the exclusives, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like right now, I think what did I tell you? I had the fried chicken or
There's some fried chicken that I was shocked to see. I thought those
Yeah.
were all gone.
where does that come from? And then I think you have a really good seller, which is the cinnamon roll.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
every time I
cinnamon
come in
roll's
there, all
great.
I see is the empty vat where said cigars used to be.
Back to labeling.
Which is
Yes.
hilarious. Yeah.
So where do you come up with that? Like, where did you come up with fried chicken, cinnamon roll? What was the other one? Something dead?
Back from the dead.
Back from the dead.
Yeah.
That kind so where do you come up with the names for those?
So every cigar's got a story, man.
Right.
Because it just it means
Mhm.
something to us. So
Uh-huh.
fried chicken was this is now I think the 4th fried chicken blend, and they're all different, but the 4th fried chicken blend we've come out with, and fried chicken was the first small batch cigar we ever came out with. So like I was telling you before,
Direct to consumer.
yeah,
Okay.
when we were sitting down, like, dude, we've been doing this, we love cigars, but I hate this. Like, we're miserable, right? What do we got to do to change this? We switched our business model to selling direct to consumers. Like, let's build an app and let's just sell. And dude, I was like, let's just do the things that are fun. Like, I just can't with anything. I'm just so burnt
Yeah.
out. I'm so everything else. And it was like, well, what was fun? And Chris was like, dude, well, I'll tell you what I thought was fun is when we made Tantrum, man. The whole story, and I'll let him tell the story,
Okay.
but of blending that cigar, right, was just amazing because it was a super limited tobacco. It was a small batch run, and that's why it's so small. Was because they're like, you can't use this tobacco. Like, there's not enough there, and they're like, no, we have to use. It's amazing, and it was like, well, you can only make these little tiny. And I was like, good, then just make them little tiny cigars, and then that's it. I don't care, right? But you referenced that, and I was like, dude, if we can find amazing, rare, small batch tobacco, right, and we can sell direct to customer, and dude, I said, dude, I don't care if we got 100 of them. We'll sell the 100 cigars and then they're gone. But at least I'm home with my wife. I'm home with my kids. And then I get to make great cigars and enjoy my family and, you too, obviously. And then it's a win-win, right? And people get
Yep.
great cigars that are, and they're limited and people get pissed about that because they sell out. But I was like, dude, that's just what we're going to do.
Mhm.
So fried chicken was named that because that was the first cigar we did. And I was like, okay, well, I got to name this. And It was Babe's Fried Chicken in Roanoke, man.
That's
We
where we had the
love fried chicken.
conversation. Is that
Yeah.
Babes
It
fried
was up
chicken?
Babes,
Yeah.
so it was fried chicken. And
We
then the next,
love us some Babes.
Yeah.
we love
I mean,
Babes, right?
it's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
So then the second one was Burn-Ins, because right up the road from Babes in Roanoke is Hard Eight. And I was
Yep.
like, man,
Hard Eight,
brisket, right?
baby.
So
Yep.
like literally, it's that kind of stuff. So Back from the Dead, Chris was talking about the FDA stuff earlier, and it was like we put that cigar out
Oh,
as
give me that back.
we're gonna live.
Cigars.
Cigars?
It's
No,
relighting.
I want one of those ones he brought.
Oh, you want one of the sample
Uh,
blends,
uh-huh.
the testers.
the testers.
Well, test it out and tell me what you think.
All right.
Tell me if it sucks. Tell me it sucks.
I'm
dude,
going.
seriously.
So
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm
You
the
gotta.
guy where it's no, this is good or this sucks.
Yeah, because
Those two guys are just going to go. I'm gonna get a little vanilla, a little bit. And I'm not that guy.
yeah, no.
Say,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Bro,
You,
for a
you have
reason.
you have a pretty good history of kissing ass.
No, I can kiss ass.
Yeah, I don't have
get
a
me
problem
wrong.
saying something sucks.
Yeah,
I
just
just
say it
don't know.
sucks.
I'm not the guy that
Here
can
we go.
get-
Battle of the egos.
No. I'm
Yeah.
being. Well, I mean, I'm telling on myself. I'm not that guy. Like I can tell you if I like a cigar, if I
Mm.
don't. Like I can tell you the cigar that you guys have that I have. Not it. I don't. It's not y'all's. It's a different makers in y'all's bar that I've had that I don't like. But I can't necessarily tell you why I don't like it. It's
Mhm.
just
It's subjective.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They can get more in depth on same way with the whiskeys. I'm the same guy with the whiskey. Yeah, this is pretty good. Or nah, this is not.
Mhm.
I can get a little bit of the peppery and the rise and stuff, but they're just more in depth in that kind of stuff. That's
Right.
what I'm saying. I'm not trying to blow up. My ego's big enough. My head's big enough. I don't need to do that.
I'm pretty much the same way. I mean, Kyle's palate is definitely way more refined than
You
my
got a cutter
palate,
over there somewhere?
Yep.
but he'll need the lighter as well.
We got 2 lighters here out of fuel.
But my
Sad.
my palate is to the point where when we're blending cigars, and even if we're in the quality control stage, I'm like, yep, like it. Nope, don't like it.
And it gets smoked about. I mean, not even that far, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe an inch.
Yeah.
Within an inch, we
maybe.
know.
That's it.
But
know,
I mean,
which
from
is
there, Chris is
crazy
like, nope.
because it's the whole cigar
Yeah.
that counts. And interestingly, like some of the cigars I've disliked the most, it's because of how they finished. Right.
That's
You know,
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You blend for finish. That is
Mhm.
literally that you just,
Yeah.
and we were going to tell that, but that's the number one rule in blending is you blend for finish,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because think about it. You smoke a cigar, the smoke's in your mouth how long? A second, 2
Yeah.
seconds, whatever, right? How long does that finish stay with you? I mean, 10,
Oh.
20, 30,
yeah.
a minute,
Right.
And you're tasting it. So the guy who really taught us nuts and bolts on blending, Arsenio Ramos at Aganorsa, who's gone on to be with the Lord, hopefully. That's the number one thing he said. And he's the guy, Cuban dude, who literally wrote the textbook that's used in Cuba for cigar making. He wrote it. He's the author.
Wow.
Yeah.
He taught us, right? And Chris can do a great impression of how he smokes cigars. They'll love
My
to see
cigar's
that.
definitely not
Yeah.
long enough for that right now.
It's pretty gratuitous, but you blend for finish. And that was the number one thing he hammered home all the time was
Yeah.
finish. Because if a cigar doesn't finish, it leaves you being like,
Yeah.
this cigar sucks.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no flavor. There's no,
Yeah.
So,
Puff, puff, pass.
Exactly.
Switch it to. I want to bring this up. This is hilarious. So usually that air purifier, it'll give us, a detail of the air quality in here.
Yeah,
and it's
warning.
usually, by the
Warning.
time we're done with the show, just a bunch of us mouth breathers in here. It's like in the red. It's like, but if you look at it tonight, it says severe.
But it also says good up on top.
Yeah, good severe.
Yeah,
Good.
I've never seen it in the purple before. That's
It's a good
hilarious.
severe.
The 2.5 particulate matter 900. It's pegged out at 999. The 10 particulate matter is pegged out at 999.
It's probably a California fan.
Man, you
Probably.
try them side by side. There's
Yeah.
a big difference. There.
Big difference.
Sure.
Our cigar is way better. I just want to say.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know what you brought us in
This
that
looks like a
sample bag.
lighter-
That's fair.
I
That's
like
fair.
that. He's already claiming ownership.
This
Yeah.
looks like a
Our
lighter,
cigars. You hear
is
that?
this a lighter
Our
leaf?
cigar.
So I got an idea.
All right.
I got an idea.
I like it.
This is a lighter leaf.
Well,
a lighter
so-
wrapper at least.
So y'all are 50-50, so I hope he likes it.
Well, true. True. all
Better
that.
be a good idea.
It better
But
be a
it's
good
gonna
idea.
it's gonna require y'all as well.
Hey, we're all about it.
It tastes like a cigarette to me.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know if
come
I'd
on.
go
not
there.
great.
Come on.
It could also be the gauge because it's a Lancero. So
Okay.
it could also be your mouthfeel.
Yeah.
That's giving you that.
Well, also what I was
But-
thinking is on all y'all's blending and trying, and this fits perfectly. Can you like so for us, we've started out with a really high proof whiskey.
Mm.
And then we could go to a really lower proof whiskey, which is still extremely good whiskey. But when you have started with such a high proof and amazing whiskey is what we started out with, that second whiskey could be like, meh.
Yeah, the high proof numbs your palate to anything afterwards.
Do you feel like cigars can do 100%. The same thing?
Oh, yeah.
Like, do y'all ever get burnt out of?
Yeah.
We call it nuking the palate.
Okay.
You know, and palate so even with you when you're blending and everything else, there reaches a point where your palate is just tired. It's just nuked out, and you can't really discern anymore, and you just have to just stop.
You gotta go eat.
Go eat. Go have a coffee. Go drink some distilled water or something. Cleanse the palate out. Take a minute. You know, really, you know, just let the palate rest before you come back into it. But can't, you know, to your point, Heath, when you were talking about, you know, a higher you know, a flavor profile or maybe a stronger blend, you know, can you go from that to a milder blend? Yeah, absolutely you can. You know, so you know, let's just say you're having a steak dinner and you come out of Sweetie Pies and you come over to the lounge and something like that, and that's still just sitting right there, right? You want to follow that stuff up with something, you know, a nice glass of whiskey, you know, maybe a nice stout cigar, you know, to go along with it.
Like a mofo.
You go for a mofo, you go for an eminence, you know, something that just has that real deep, earthy, chocolatey, you know, barnyardy flavors, real super aggressive in there. And then after that, sure, you can kind of wind it down, you know, just like you're winding down an evening if you want. Or, you know, a lot of people, they'll start mild in the beginning of the day and, you know, with their coffee and everything else. And as they go through the day, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and kind of move towards a more fuller bodied cigar at the end of the day.
Okay. Nice. So like on a lighter cigar, and I'm just learning this. I'm not too in depth in my cigars, but a Connecticut, is that a lighter? I think I've only had like 2, and they seem a little bit lighter on.
It can be.
Okay.
So with a Connecticut, 99% of your Connecticut's are going to be blended to be lighter bodied, lighter strength, creamier, because that's just the nature of that particular wrapper leaf is very light and creamy, right? So the binder fillers that you put with that, it's easy to blend something like that. That being said, there are some strong Connecticut's, but they're hard to do. They're hard to get to make, to taste right or to be balanced because that leaf is so far on the spectrum, right, of flavors to the light creamy side. So it's hard, but there are, and we've done a few of them that are more of a stronger, like there's the Blessed Leaf Nativity that's coming out in our Cigar of the Month Club, right? It's the exclusive cigar. We do one every year for Christmas, right?
Wait a minute, you have a Cigar of the Month Club?
Yeah, so Ezra Zion has an Ezra Zion.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah, so we have a subscription Cigar of the Month Club for Ezra Zion. It's coffee.
Like he looks like Corella de Villa down there.
Let's talk about it.
I kind of saw that pinky go up a little bit, didn't I?
Yeah, that's with my Lancero.
Yes, I would love to pitch my wares.
Pitch your wares.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have the Ezra Zion Cigar and Coffee of the Month Club. Yeah. And so every month it's a new coffee, right? That's made to have with cigars, right? So as far as the strength and the profile of that coffee, you're not going to get real mild coffee from an Ezra Zion coffee because it just doesn't stand up to the cigar, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So side note on that, when people talk about pairings, like I literally was asked about today walking through the bar, I was like, look, best rule of thumb with pairings is just go strength for strength. So if it's whiskey or coffee or whatever, you have a medium strength cigar, go with a medium kind of strength whiskey. You don't want something that's like a cast strength with a Connecticut, right? That's more of a mild. It's going to dominate the cigar.
Overpower it.
Yeah.
It needs to be balanced. Again, it's all about finding that balance, right? Yeah. So, but with Connecticut, you can do strong Connecticut's, but typically, again, 99% of the time, you're going to have that, you know, the lighter, and then your medium with your, you know, natural wrappers, and then Maduro. It's easier to make a really strong Maduro, because the wrapper lends itself to that.
So since you just said Maduro, and I just had a Camacho double Maduro. First time I ever had that. It's probably one of my favorite cigars I've had lately.
Seriously?
For some reason the screen went off. Nope, my camera.
I mean,
just went off.
That's a very throw up the Whiskey Bro label.
But it was really good.
You're
though.
canceled, dude.
Shut down. Yeah, I probably got canceled. Yeah, I said California one too many times.
That's it.
Sad.
Yeah, but
it was really good.
Heavy cigar too.
But I didn't think. Well, so now that's another question I have. So it was the third cigar of the night. and I don't know. So, what is a heavy cigar night for you guys, or a day? Let's say,
As
how
far
many
as number,
cigars are y'all smoking in a day?
Oh, daily.
Like for
Depends on the
me,
day.
for me, 3 cigars, and now this was in one setting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now this was Jesus 6 to let's say 10:30 at night. So that's a heavy cigar night for me though.
Mhm.
Is that that's
Yeah.
nothing? Is
That
it?
ain't nothing.
That's you're a lightweight.
Yeah.
No,
You,
I'm just
you can go
kidding.
back to
No,
your
that's
your
respectable.
camera now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's back on.
Most people are lightweights.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
well,
three is nothing.
Well, it depends on the day for us, right?
Uh-huh.
So if we're blending that day or
Oh,
QC and stuff, we're gonna smoke 50 cigars that day, right?
Not all. Not
No,
the whole
well,
things though, right?
Some of them,
Maybe not.
pretty close to all the way, but a lot of
Okay.
them are gonna be no, it's trash. But
Mm.
you go through a lot.
you go through
Right.
a lot of cigars, and like Chris was talking about earlier, you're gonna get palate fatigue. You're
Yeah.
gonna get, your palate's basically raw when
Yeah.
you're done. So
Yeah.
it's just, you're smoking. Like if we're gonna go over to the bar or whatever afterward, we're smoking to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting all the nuance because my palate's just wrecked. Right.
Right.
Like trying to go do a CrossFit workout and then an hour later I'm
You're
gonna
done.
do 100 push-ups. Well, no, you're
Right.
not. Right. It's the same sort of
And by
thing.
the time you get to the bar, you're more of it's off again, bro. I think we've runned it.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
It's just
Done.
It's got palate.
So is it
fatigue.
is it
It's got
more
palate fatigue.
palate fatigue? It does have
It's got
palate
savage
fatigue.
bro fatigue.
Yeah.
It's like I can
And-
only take so much.
So much of that beauty.
How many
Right.
hours do you expect me to take of this in one night, guys? I mean, in all honesty,
I mean, this is abuse.
Yeah,
it
it
really
is.
is.
it ain't legal.
It's not. No. And then the time y'all get to the bar, y'all probably don't give a crap about every little flavor you're getting because you're probably at the point where you just want to.
Depends on the day again.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's been a heavy cigar day, if we had production or sample something come in or
Mhm.
whatever, right? Or raw leaves come in that we're tasting, that's a heavy smoke day, right?
Mm.
And
So-
usually in the bar, I mean, we're not doing that. We're doing that in the offices, right? Because you need to be engaged with that,
focus,
So if
right.
we're at the bar and we're just, hanging out, and everything else, inevitably we're going to come in, we're going to engage with some customers or, have a conversation or whatever the case is. But when you're working with either raw tobacco or blends or production quality control, you need to be mentally in the game with that.
Right.
Mhm.
Because
that's,
again,
that's work.
that's
Yes.
that's work. That's work for us, right? So we're in, you all have been to the cigar lounge, so
Yep.
you know our big air cleaners that we have.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were talking about the filtration and everything else. We have just one of those in a room that is smaller than this studio right
Mhm.
here, because the
Wow.
amount of smoking that we'll do
That goes
in a
on.
QC session,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they're industrial cigar filter or tobacco. They're air filters,
Air-
excuse me.
Yeah,
Right.
air filters.
And so
Yeah.
so then that way we can, really be engaged with that and everything else. And it's just us. It's just him and I
Yeah.
and the tobaccos, and we're going and we're yes or we're no or yes, we're yes, we're yes. No, this is great. It'd be great if we took this and we put this over here in this blend, making notes,
Tweak,
that kind of
tweak.
a stuff.
So everything is y'all two.
Just us.
Every cigar that comes
Man.
through,
Yep.
it's a
Yep.
yes or no.
That's
from
pretty
you.
cool,
That's
too.
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I'm curious. What your question? What average number of cigars smoked in a day on average? What would you say for you?
Well,
On
you
average.
smoke
On
way
average.
more than I do in a day.
I do.
Because I tend to when I'm in the office, again, I'm the numbers guy, I'm the logistical guy,
Mhm.
So I might be on the phone or I might be on the computer and everything else. So I might start and then stop and then have to relight, start, stop, and everything else. But I mean, on average, 5 to 10 is nothing,
Right.
on an average day. He's probably, if I were to guess on him, and you could tell me how I'm right, 10, 15.
15 would be high, I would say.
Hmm.
But on a normal day when I'm like,
Yeah.
not working
Right.
and I'm smoking to enjoy it. So I mean, I walk a lot, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
pictures see because I'm walking, smoking blends. So I figured out I could actually, do something healthy instead of just sitting in my office and smoking all day. I could
Yeah.
just walk and get fresh air and vitamin D from the sunlight and
Mhm.
actually, do, fitness, whatever, and smoke. So I'll go. I'm the, all my neighbors know me because I'm the cigar guy, right? Because I'm just constantly smoking cigars.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You smoke cigars and walk?" I'm like, "I'd smoke cigars and do deadlifts if I could get away with it, right?" Cigars make everything better. So I'll go do that. I'm smoking, 6, 8 at least walking in a day, right?
Yeah.
So probably 10. I would say 10 probably is an average day.
Average.
Yeah.
Nice.
To give you a really, really long answer. So,
So I got 2 questions. We got to get back on track a little bit. First question is, how did you both said you were married? How do you get past that? Which you make decent money, I'm guessing. That helps. So, for instance, I'm gonna tell you where I'm coming. I'll go to the cigar bar. I'll smoke 2 or 3 cigars, have some whiskey, come home, take a shower. It's sexy time with the lady. Now you don't.
It's that mama time.
Yeah, you don't have a glorious beard like myself, but
That
that
used
it
to.
is.
We
You're-
used
you-
to.
Well, it looks like you could grow
That's
one.
what we-
I
we
see
can.
it in there.
That used to be what we were known for, dude.
Beards.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Wives.
My beard actually has its own Twitter handle.
Oh,
Okay, I
No
think
doubt.
I think
Oh.
you're getting your
No
answer.
doubt.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to shave the beard. No, that ain't happening.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So where I was getting with this was my beard. My wife, even after shower, she'd be like, "Man, you smell like cigars. Did you go to cigar bar?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I went to cigar." Now it don't ever stop. Stop it. It's not that bad. But how does
Mazel tov.
yeah? How does the family handle the smell of? Because no matter what, cigars have a smell. Good, bad, ugly. People like it. People don't like it. How do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? It just is what it is with you guys.
Now
or-
we've gone into the male grooming portion of the show. Is that what
Yes,
this is?
Lawnmower 2.0.
Awesome.
Well, first of all, a badass air filtration system,
That helps.
whether that's outside or
But no,
ozone,
that don't
right?
But it's in your mouth.
stop it.
You're
Yeah,
not
It's in
getting
your
rid of the
beard.
it's on your beard. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it gets. I'll smell cigars in my beard for 2 days.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, it is. Well, no,
To
that's
us,
me.
to
For
the
me,
guy.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
The wife, not so much. And that's another thing is, what do you think? That's not my second question. It just popped up now. I have 3 questions. Thanks. What do you think is the selling point to get more of the female side? Because I have been sitting in y'all's cigar bar, and a group of people came in, had their ladies with them. The ladies were like, "Oh my god, it smells like smoke," but then they stayed. 15 minutes later, they were like, "Oh, it's not as bad anymore." I'm guessing it's because it's all in their junk and they're used to it by now. But do you feel like there's something that you
I like
can
how you
reach?
said junk.
Yes.
I mean,
Is there something that you feel like you can that what we can, besides the ozone thing that I have here, is check that one out. Is that a decent ozone? Is that
I
the right
literally
one?
have that one in my house.
Oh yeah, I'm buying it
That's
right
it.
now.
So I'll answer the second question. Kyle can answer the grooming question
All right.
because I just feel really
Hey, do you
weird
want
telling
black,
another
gray,
man
or
how to
silver?
groom himself.
Not happening.
What you want to do is
Well, I'm talking about just for tonight.
What?
Black, gray, or silver ozone.
What are you asking me for?
He wants to
It's
sanitize your
black,
studio.
your
obviously.
studio.
Black.
I'm
Yeah.
buying an
Yeah.
ozone thing for here.
Go black.
Yeah, this is the only time we're smoking cigar in here.
Well, we're gonna need it. I'm
No.
gonna get it.
It's eventually going to filter out. That thing will do its job.
All right, so black it is.
black.
So one of the great things about the cigar lounge that we did is, again, we've been all over the United States and the world, different cigar lounges, this and that. What makes it great? What makes it not great? My wife used to travel with me when we'd go to different lounges and do events and so on and so
Uh-huh.
forth. And she would walk into a cigar lounge, and if it's, got a low ceiling, bad air filtration and everything else, she's like, nope, call me when you're done.
Yeah.
I'm going shopping. I'm going to go grab a
pretty
coffee or
evident.
something like
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
just not going to happen. The advantage that we have at our lounge is, we have 14-foot tall
Yeah.
lid,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we have a super high ceiling. We spent tons and tons of money
Mm-hmm.
on a 5-fold filtration system in our lounge and everything else. And that's one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we could do is you can go in there with your wife. I can bring my wife. Kyle can bring his
And
wife.
they don't smoke. I mean, they're
And
not into
That's what I was
cigars
gonna
at
ask.
all.
Is your ladies cigar
They
people?
do not like
Neither
None.
one of them
Okay.
smoke, but they can go in there and we can have a cigar and everything else. And they're
Mhm.
not, their eyes aren't watering.
Right.
They're not walking out of there smelling like an ashtray or anything like
Right.
that. So just, number one, providing an environment
Yes.
for that. My wife and I do a lot of walking. Whenever we're walking, I'm smoking.
Yeah.
My kids, like I told you about, my daughters and everything else, they've been around cigars for so long and pipe and all that other stuff so long that it's just a kind of a part of who we are
Right.
and how we are. I don't smoke inside the house in our office. I'll smoke in the office and that's perfectly fine. But just being able to provide an environment where it's pleasurable for that. One of the things that is just so encouraging to me is when you have like a group that you were talking about, they come into the cigar bar and there's a handful of dudes that want to grab some cigars and the lady's like, no, don't want to do it. And then next thing you know, 10, 15 minutes later, they're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then they're
Right.
asking the question, Well, do you have a cigar that I could try?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, we have a cigar that you can try. And then we take them up there, we show them the different cigars and this and that and everything else. And 99% of the time, it's just pairing that person with the right cigar.
Mhm.
You're not going to give them the double Maduro Camacho, right?
Right.
You might go for a blondie, you might go for a flavored cigar, or you might go for a nice mild stick that they can really enjoy the flavors of that. And they'll try it. And they always say the same thing. Oh, this is actually pretty good.
Right.
I didn't think that I would enjoy a cigar. This is
Right.
actually kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know?
So I think the theme is exposure. So you have
Yes.
to expose your lady to cigar smoke so that normalizes it,
Mm.
right?
I've exposed. I have exposed. So let's get into a little bit of the cigar bar. You keep saying lounge, but it's called
Yeah, tell us
cigar
when you went
bar.
from making
Yeah.
cigars to, hey, we want to
Yeah,
provide a
what-
place for people to
Now,
come and smoke
how
our
did that all
cigars.
work coming from Alvord and was in this, and I could be, I'm a rookie here. So far as I know, the only place that technically you had like your humidors was at the vineyard. Is that correct? And Trinity Street?
Yeah, we
You
had
had
a
one there,
we had a
but-
handful of
But you didn't have anywhere where you were.
point of sale, but
Yes.
then we have wholesale accounts. So
Okay, yeah.
there's tons of, like I was saying earlier, we used to, be in Weatherford downtown, and and there's certain partners that we've cultivated over the years that are wholesale accounts that'll buy our tobacco, to buy our cigars, whether it's Ezra Zion brand, the Nomad brand,
Sure.
and then bring it in there. But yes, to your point, we started out on our ranch and then built a metal building, and then that's where we, put everything in on the ranch. We just outgrew, our
Mhm.
shorts, and we had to get bigger pants, right? So we moved the offices down into Decatur. During that time, we also had an opportunity to acquire the building that the cigar bar is in.
Mhm.
And, our thought process was eventually we'd love to be able to have a place that we could call our own.
Yeah.
Have a place in North Texas, in Wise County, in Decatur, that we could have our customers come and be able to experience something. And also, like Kyle said, when you were talking about that one humidor and everything else, the exclusives, a lot of stuff that's in there is only available at the cigar bar. We
Right.
don't offer that. So one of the things that really gets, Kyle gets a ton of messages on social and everything else is, I saw your post. I want to buy that. It's not on your website. It's not on the Nomad website. It's on the Cigar Federation website. Where can I get that? And he's like,
Wow.
Decatur,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, Decatur, Texas.
Yeah.
come in and
That's
get it.
cool.
Walk in the store.
Right. And so it was one of those things that we always wanted to do. Again, going back to like what Kyle said, we're primarily e-commerce. We have multiple e-commerce platforms. I know we're talking a lot about Ezra Zion, but we also have Nomad, we also have Cigar Federation, and those are all different outlets that we have online to be able to provide tobaccos, to provide cigars that we make, and provide cigars on Cigar Federation for other people that don't make our cigars, but that make some fantastic sticks. But being able to have a place that we could call home in our hometown and being able to offer that to our local community, I mean, in all honesty, is Wise County the cigar capital of the world? No, it's not.
getting there.
It's not. But it's getting there because, the interest that people have in, again, the experience, right? You were
Mhm.
talking about Trinity Street, you're talking about Sweetie Pies. We've been talking, Brandon over at County
County
Seat,
seat.
being able to provide an experience where people can go and they don't have to make that trek all the way down to the friggin' metro,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
right?
You can do
They
it locally.
have it there on the square
Yeah.
in Decatur, in their hometown, that they
Mhm.
could actually get in there, be able to say, these are fantastic cigars, whether they're ours or some others. You said you smoke some other cigars
Yeah.
that are, that we don't make, that are friends of ours and everything else that we provide there. But that's the thing, is we just wanted to be able to open up, the opportunity for be able to, people to experience the cigars that we make
Mhm.
locally.
Yeah.
At a local venue.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and I have a need to provide grand themes, but for me, the grand theme is like you can sit down and you can down a glass of whiskey pretty quick, but you can only smoke a cigar so quick. And so it's like every stick that you burn, you're really spending time with, and then it's about the people you're burning that stick with.
Right.
And so that like there's something Native American about it, and like whenever it comes down to it, there's something Native American about tobacco, as a plant,
Mhm.
and so I don't know, there's something special in that for me.
Yeah, and kind of to conflate the 2 points that y'all were making, uh, one of the things that we thought was so cool in all of
Mhm.
our years of travels and all the cigar bars and cigar lounges and every place we went to is that anybody that's been, you know that this is true, right? Cigars are like the great equalizer. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter your station in life, your job, right? We always say like the bank president can sit down with the guy who digs ditches all day, and
Yeah.
if they light up a cigar lounge, right, a cigar
Mhm.
bar, they're friends, they're talking, they're
On the
bros,
same
they're
wavelength.
yeah, everybody's equal. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
background, color, religion. It doesn't matter. We're all smoking cigars. We're all just friends,
That's
right?
right.
And that I've not seen really anywhere else other than cigar lounges, right?
Mm.
So, in us talking about putting something together, that's one of the main themes, right? That we wanted because you can't. You're right. You can't chug a cigar.
Yeah.
You can't
Right.
slam
Yeah,
a
it
cigar.
takes time.
You gotta.
Mhm.
It forces you to sit down for 45 minutes, an hour, and smoke it and
Yeah.
enjoy it, and and talk to people and get to know people, and
Mm.
the people we've met all through the years. Again, from famous people to people we know we're never going to see again. But for that moment, it doesn't matter the station in life. Doesn't matter. We're just humans together, right? We're just
Yeah.
enjoying cigars. You're telling me about you and the cigar you're smoking, experience, and we're it's just like that connection, like Chris was saying earlier, like that you don't get very often in the world we live in now.
Mhm.
Like that, the heart, the soul of that is what we're trying to bring in
Right.
our cigar bar and that whole thing. Hopefully those sorts of experiences are happening, and that kind of stuff's going on, and
Yeah.
over great cigars.
Yeah, and I think you guys have a great place there because the amount of people that I've met at y'all's joint, and I've been to y'all's joint more than these 2 guys for sure. But ego. But
In all humility.
yes, all yeah. So the coolest thing
I
that
bought a
I
lot of cigars there.
yeah.
Yeah.
The coolest thing that I've heard so far though, and it was an old timer, dude. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I've met him multiple times, but the coolest thing I've heard so far was there. He's like, I've never in my days would have thought that there would have been a place like this in Decatur, Texas.
Yeah.
So I mean that right there alone, and he's an old timer. So me coming up just listening to him because that's what I like doing. I used to go to the barbershop
Mm-hmm.
when I had bald head just to sit around with the old timers and listen to them. So I really listen to him when we get around. So it really meant a lot to me. And he wasn't born and raised here, but he's been here for forever. But for somebody like that to say something like that, I thought that was a really cool
Yeah.
thing. So yeah,
Very cool.
I really enjoy y'all's spot. I think it's a cool. But and the thing that's cool about it is there's other bars. It's not necessarily a bar. It's more of that place. Like because I've been in there multiple times where I've not gone in there to sit down and have a conversation with people,
Mm-hmm.
or I've not gone in there thinking of anything except I'm going to go have a whiskey and a cigar. But then I'll get in there and I'll sit down and there'll be like 4 people sitting right beside me because the way y'all have it set up, I don't know if y'all did this on purpose,
We
but
did.
it's set up to where you're probably going to have a conversation with
Yep.
somebody, which
Yep.
I love. I
Yeah.
love that, and I'm not. I don't know that I am. I'm probably the most outgoing person here. If out of us, I would say that.
I would agree.
I think I am, and I don't have. I can talk to anybody. I don't have a bone in my body that I care about what you think about me too much. So I'm an easy conversation. So, but it's really easy to just sit down and be like, oh hey, what's going on? And then
Right.
2 hours later,
Mhm.
but it's really cool to have that in a place like me and this guy. We were born and raised here. I never thought we'd had a place like that either. So
Yeah.
it's really cool environment for sure.
Well, I'll say this too. It's really cool not to have to keep a humidor anymore.
That's exactly
That's
It's such a
freaking
pain in the
right.
ass. The
Yeah.
at-home humidors suck.
Yeah.
Like the amount of
Yeah.
times I've stopped in there and just bought a cigar.
Yeah,
Just
no,
to
for
take
sure.
home or to take over to my dad's. So
Yeah,
I mean that's valuable to
it is
to me.
valuable because I have
Yeah.
a little bitty just a glass box that, it holds like 25
Shitty
cigars.
humidor.
Shitty
Yeah.
humidor.
Yeah.
You can't keep them in there for more than a week or they get dry.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you. You go in and check, and all your packs are dried out,
Yeah.
and the water's gone.
Yeah.
But it's been extremely nice because you know what I have in there now? I have pipe tobacco in the case in my
Yeah.
humidor. Because
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
if I want a cigar, I'm just going to go to town and grab one real
Yep.
quick.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's been really cool having it for sure.
That's been
So,
handy.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up. It's a good
Yeah.
philosophy
it.
on why y'all exist.
So tell us real quick, where can you find you guys? Websites?
You guys
Talking
talking like a Californian.
Yeah.
Where
straight
can you
to the
Dos
find
point.
y'all?
Gringos.
I'm trying to help these guys.
At least he's not calling
Where
us
can we
boys.
find you,
Where
boys?
can
Where
we
you
find you
boys
boys?
at?
But I think you do need to make a cigar and name it Dos Gringos. I mean, I think that's a pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Just an idea. I know it's 50-50, but 50.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw,
Well, hey, before we get to the deets and everything else,
Mhm.
if I can, y'all are, barbecue smoker guys. right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Real
Everything
smokers.
Real smokers.
Not this pellet smoke
Not-
crap going
not a pellet
around.
smoker on the place.
Not as pellet smoker.
No,
Nice.
sir.
I love it. I love it. All right, and you could cut this out if you want to cut
No,
this
no,
out.
no.
But if this was my idea that I had earlier.
All right. Oh, yeah. I forget about this. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You treat me just like dog.
Yes, yes.
Just,
Shut
doesn't
you
matter
down.
What the hell he's gonna say?
Shut you
Just
down.
shut that shit down.
Yeah. What is your idea? I like it so far.
Let's do a Whiskey Bros night
Okay.
at the Cigar Lounge. We'll put the
That'd be awesome.
smoker right behind the lounge.
All right.
All right, and we can do a barbecue, a smoking meat, whatever y'all want to do, and everything
Okay.
else. Put it out to your fans and everything else. We'll refine the Whiskey Bros cigar,
Okay,
and then we'll feature that cigar.
Dude, I
Okay.
love it.
Done.
it's a date. We got to figure out
Yeah.
that date, but it's a date.
We have the smoker and the wood for sure. So.
yeah. Whiskey Bros always have the wood.
And if you
Yes.
need a place to stay while you're cooking and everything else, we'll just put you
Upstairs.
upstairs in the suite. So then that way at 2
Yeah.
a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
5 a.m., 6 a.m., y'all could just be feeding
Not
that
a
beast.
problem.
I like it.
We'll be
Feeding it.
burning
Okay.
down some sticks.
There you go,
for sure.
baby.
And we'll have
people
to
come in and
well,
out of your establishment with food though. That's
we would have
fine
to.
there?
Oh, yeah.
We'd
Oh,
have
yeah.
to give it away.
Yeah.
We could not sell it.
Y'all couldn't.
No, we could not. You might be able to.
Yeah, we could.
No, it's their
Well,
place.
no,
But I mean, we-
but
It's
we'd
getting
have to go
sold.
get a permit for
we,
sure.
we do something. We do something where it's just a Whiskey Bros night. Feature y'all. Let y'all get out there and show what you got.
Yeah, why do we need a permit? The food trucks don't have to.
Yes, they do.
Huh.
Yeah, they do.
Well, we'll figure it out.
That's why I said we'd have to get a permit.
We'll figure
No,
it
I
out.
like the idea.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
We're smart enough.
We
to
do
be
a
able to figure that
donation.
out.
Basis then. Do you like the food? Donate $15.
Yeah, we could do something.
Ticketed event, and if there happens to be some smoked meat in that ticket,
There you go, yeah.
there you go.
There are ways. This is America. There are
America.
ways.
Yeah,
That's right.
no, I like it. We'd definitely talk about that.
All right.
for
Well,
sure.
tell us the details.
Give them
on-
the deets,
yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah,
give
give
them
them
the
the
deets.
deets.
Deets. So
That's the
websites.
deets,
The
not the
deets.
D. The
Not the D.
deets. Make sure you
Deets.
finish that.
Enunciate. So EzraZionStore.com,
All right.
right? Ezra Zion.
Yep.
NomadCigars.com for Nomad. CigarFederation.com for Cigar Federation, and EzraZionCigarBar.com for Ezra Zion Cigar Bar.
Yeah.
It's easy enough.
Or just
Easy
come to
enough.
Decatur, Texas, and come to the bar.
Go to the
Yeah,
south
that's it.
side of the square.
There you
Yep.
go.
South side.
If you
Can't
ca-
miss it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. If you
No,
can't,
if you see
you're
light
blind,
on the concrete,
even if you're blind,
at
you
the
can
right
smell
place.
your way there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen,
That's
brother.
right.
Amen.
That's right.
Hey, thank y'all so much for
Yeah,
having us.
appreciate
out.
No,
it.
thank you for coming on.
Thanks, guys,
Thank
for
you
the
for the
appreciate
freaking
y'all.
gifts, man. That's goddamn
Yeah. Thanks for the
amazing,
cigars.
man.
Those are pretty badass.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And then we'll work out details on a
Yeah.
Whiskey Bro night
Yeah,
up there.
for sure.
Very fun.
Heck yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, and good night.
You've been listening to the Whiskey Bros Around the Table.